All right, we should be live on YouTube in
Oh,
one
Ian
second.
actually just said on my way right now, pulling up the camp settings.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well,
So if
he'll
we
be
can
here
if
in
we
just
can
a
start
second.
with Ian here, then it's probably not a bad thing.
Well, we're started now.
Oh,
You were two
well,
seconds
hello
too late
everybody.
with that announcement. It's okay. Ian's coming. We'll have him in just a second. While we're waiting for Ian, let me join up
Yeah,
on the
same.
TikTok stream.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, buddy.
Wearing a fly shirt. What's going on here? Why is Ian wearing Ian's pop? You just gotta pop that collar, put on some earrings, and you'll be like ready to go to the club.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
We
You wear that with your members only jacket?
No. But are we live? What's the deal?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay.
We are live. Let's do some checks. I think we've got some people loaded up on TikTok already. And make sure on YouTube, if you're watching, can you hear all three guests?
Hey, am I audible?
That's a copyrighted company name.
Yeah, this episode of Unapologetic is brought to you in part.
Honestly, we just need to get absolutely getting an Audible sponsor would be hilarious because we have to do audio checks at the beginning of every live stream.
They said Ian's mic
Audible, if you're listening.
go up a little bit.
No.
I can turn it up if you don't have volume control.
I do, but it starts peaking if I.
I got it. I'll just turn it up over here. That should be a little bit
Okay.
louder. Okay, well, they can hear all three on YouTube and on TikTok, so I think everything should be good to go.
I think that might be the most efficient on-time start we've ever done.
Okay, sorry, wait. So let me join.
It really is, yeah, it really was a clean start.
Ian, did you go to sleep at a reasonable hour last night?
No, I went to sleep at like 1.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's like 11 for you, so that's,
Well,
you still have plenty of time to get up and, get
Yeah.
ready.
Indeed,
we've got
indeed.
a guest in the box if we want to bring him in already.
One
of
sec.
them.
Let me
Okay.
get my. Yeah, you guys can do that. Give me just a sec. I need to
Yeah,
finish
go
setting
for
up.
it. Go for it. Hey, welcome in, friends. Thanks for being here. It didn't take very long at all for the guests to load up. If you're watching on YouTube, there is a link on the screen that you can use to get in, tiny.cc/UA guest. If you're on TikTok, well, I mean, you know how to get in already. Just hit the guest request button and you'll be brought up. How you doing, Strive?
Not so good.
Not so good?
Strive?
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't hear him.
Oh, you can't hear him. Hold on, let me make sure he's turned on.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. 1 second. All right, you should be able to hear him now.
One.
Strive, can you say something for everyone?
Checking. Mic check 1, 2.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, we're good. We're good. So, Strive, are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Yes. And hallelujah. Yes.
Cool. And is it a specific God, like Jesus, the Trinity, Yahweh?
Let's see if you wise man. The only King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
So, Doug, you believe in Doug?
That was a good show. I grew up on that. Skeeter. But yes, I believe in Jesus Christ.
Cool. What would
Oh,
be
okay.
a good piece of evidence or a good argument that would conclude with Jesus Christ being God?
Okay, so I know you guys probably don't like him, but
Who?
leave me alone. Okay, you guys probably don't like him.
Who?
You probably don't like him, but Albert Einstein, who created a lot of things or discovered
Don't
a lot
like
of things, whatever the
who?
case may be, he said knowledge. Albert
Strive,
Einstein.
don't like who? I don't. Okay, so you don't. Because I was
I love
confused if
Albert
you're talking about
Einstein.
Jesus or Einstein. We do like Einstein. What about him?
Einstein's great.
But what I'm about to say, he quoted, and you guys are gonna disagree.
Yeah, because I'm sure it's a false
So,
quote, but go for
He
it.
quoted. You
Go
see
ahead.
already. Okay, so he said that knowledge is power, but imagination is greater.
Oh yeah, where did he say
Okay,
that?
suppose
Yeah.
he said that.
Also, wait, I have another Albert Einstein quote that I quite like. The idea of a personal God is a childlike one.
Yes.
Ah, I'm glad we're in agreement.
So the Bible says that the Bible says in order to enter heaven, you got to be child-minded, not childish.
That's
not
Albert
what
Einstein
Einstein
is
said.
saying that it's a childish idea to think that like a personal God exists.
No. That's not my. No. I disagree with that because
So we
he
know
knew
it's not
that
your point.
imagination
That's
has
just
no
what he
borders.
said.
He knew that imagination had no
So-
limits.
Look, that might be true,
Say what?
but he also thought that personal gods were childish, if you will.
Yeah. A belief in a personal God is like a childish
but
belief.
that's okay. Amen. He's smart for that. He's a genius if you think about it. There's a scripture where it says, "In order to enter heaven, you got to be childlike, not childish," meaning our innocence, because all our innocence were stolen when we were kids. So, in order to get back, go ahead.
He also said, and he was Jewish, by the way, like Jewish by ethnicity. For me, the Jewish religion, like all other religions, is an incarnation of the most childish superstition. Would you say that you agree with that?
I mean, I like Spider-Man and Superman. No, I'm
Me
joking.
too.
Okay. So listen, whether you like it or not, bro, Jewish people are chosen, man. It's just the way it is. Like if dogs could
But
speak,
Einstein
they would hate us
disagreed.
for leashing them up and be masculine. Oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Einstein
What?
disagrees. Einstein disagrees.
No, that's not my point about I'm not using Einstein as a cop out here. What I'm
why'd you
saying
bring
is
him up
that this
then?
man, according to you, because the guy in the screen has a bunch of numbers and stuff on his backboard, and then Albert Einstein did the same thing, and he's kind of agreeing with us.
He's agreeing with us, not you.
Okay,
the
but
way,
he's in
to
your
correct the
science world
record,
and he's telling
there
everybody
are
that
exactly two
knowledge
numbers
is
on this
great.
blackboard behind me.
Okay, well, zero is infinity, so
Right there. Oh, maybe there's three, actually. I just noticed a 3.
Yeah.
Did you
Or
say
a zero,
zero
rather.
is infinity?
yeah, I heard that yesterday in a live. People were arguing for 2 hours talking about zero is not a number and this and that, and I don't know. it was
Zero is
crazy.
a number.
I was just listening.
Definitely a number.
Infinity isn't a number. Zero is a number.
I don't know. They were just going back and forth over that.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Do we have like any
I do
reason to think
remember in
that
school, like,
God
zero-
exists or that the Bible is true or that like any of this stuff is true? Because so far the only thing that's been without limits is this Yap sesh. Is there any like evidence?
Okay, so the reason why I mentioned that is because, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I give you my word, I believe it's facts in my life. Dealing with God is about imagination, it's about your thought process. You know, we don't have to do no more hard work. Jesus Christ, according to the book, not saying this is facts for conversation's sake, according to the book, Jesus did all the hard work. Because back then, now mind you, I'm not Jewish. I'm considered a Gentile, right? I'm from Jersey. I have no idea. I don't even like pita bread. So they were chosen, and their
There are a
way
lot
of
of
living
Jewish
in order
people
to
from
be
Jersey,
forgiven.
by the way.
Yeah, I know Lakewood and all that.
Are you
but
suggesting that all Jewish people like pita bread?
That's okay.
No,
there's
this is
so
a
many
figure
things
feed.
to unpack. Okay. Do you have any evidence? I think what we really want is like evidence.
I was gonna get to that. So, all right, fast forward. Where there's a creation, there's a creator, and I believe my body. And I know some people, unfortunately, I'm born disfigured, all that. But I believe that I'm not perfect. I hate my features, but I'm healthy. I got 2 arms, et cetera, et cetera. And mind you, I got millions of cells in my body. I got skin, I got bones, I got veins, and that is just too
Speak
complex.
for
I got
yourself.
acid. We all do that. You have to poop. You have to have acid to be able to poop.
I wish I had skin.
So God is real because you have to have acid to poop.
No, what I'm saying, where there's a creation, there's a creator. Where there's a creator, where there's a creation,
Right,
there's a creator. So
what's the
somebody
evidence
made-
that there's a creation? Because in our worldview, there was never nothing.
I mean, when you look yourself in the mirror, whether you like yourself or not, you're a perfectly worthy to be fearfully made.
No,
If that
that's a
acid
claim.
touches
That's
your
not
lungs,
an
you're gone.
evidence.
But yet,
No,
somehow
we're asking for the evidence, not the claim. What's the evidence that we were
objection.
created? Did he just say objection?
I think he did.
Are we in a courtroom? What is happening right now?
Yeah, we just
Objection
want the
irrelevant.
evidence. Why would I
Overruled,
think that I
overruled.
was like created by a god, or that I was created in general?
Because your brain sends light year, like light speed, whatever messages from your head to your toes to move it. And for you to
Light
think that that was
speed.
just a mistake or accident, I mean, yeah, light speed. Thank you. Like that fast, and
Do you
for you
think
to
that
think
our
like, oh yeah, this was just a coincidence. Go
Blitz,
ahead.
do you guys know if our body has optical communication? I didn't think it was
No,
optical.
Fiber
it's like
optic nerve
it's
cells.
the like our nerve cells conduct at like less than 300 miles an hour.
Okay, but
just saying,
much less than
regardless,
that.
you know, our neural circuitry, our nervous system came about via a process of billions of years of evolution. Have you like looked
I
into
don't believe that.
evolution? Have you looked into it?
I mean, I'm living it. Aren't we like the
Evolution?
highest peak of our evolution? According to you, we're all living it. I believe that I was created.
But you said you don't believe in
Because
evolution.
my parents made-
Have you looked into evolution? Or did you just dismiss it outright without looking into it?
Okay, respectfully, sir. Evolution to me is my parents. They made me out of lust, right? They didn't make me out of love. They didn't plan me. They just made me, right? Because they were horny. Excuse my language. Now, God is the one that created me. He put all this together in my mom's womb. So now, mind you, whether
Yeah,
All right,
that's
go ahead. I
a
don't know if I'm
claim
speaking.
again, though. So you keep making claims. We're asking for the evidence of the claim, right? So if I said
you
all
are
cars
the
are
evidence.
hold on, Strive. If I said all cars are purple, and you said I don't know if that's true. Can you prove that all cars are purple? And then I pointed to a purple car and said, boom, all cars are purple. That doesn't actually help. I have to connect those dots. I have to show you a car or a series of cars that are purple or not purple. So like what you're doing is restating the claim over and over again. We're asking what's the evidence that would conclude that your claim is true?
Punch buggy. Okay, so again, and you, this is gonna sound so mean, but you guys are so like selfish and self-centered that you can't see how like, and this is gonna sound weird because y'all men, but how like beautiful, complex we are all made, whether we're disfigured or
But
not.
we don't think we're made.
Yes.
Like you gotta think of the
It's
creation behind
it's
it.
weird when men call things beautiful. By the way,
Yeah.
definitely.
Bro, my wife is so handsome.
Okay, how many systems do we have in our bodies?
At
So
least
argument
3.
from incredulity. Got it. All right. Cool.
Well, I can't spell that word, so I don't even know what that means.
We grant that.
Yeah, that checks out. So I don't know if you know how to validate anything. Like
Blame
what
the
you're
school
suggesting is that we're created because look at you. That's not an actual argument. I could say we're not created. We're a product of evolution because look at you. You see how
Yeah, just look
easy
at you.
that
Look at your
argument
appendix.
works against you? If your argument can be used for the exact opposite,
I
then
would
it's not
look
a
at
good
you like-
argument.
I would look at you and say, yo, like, this is crazy because, okay, let's say hypothetically speaking, right?
Yes,
the
that's
male species
incredulity.
is born through bacteria. Hypothetically,
You did
right?
it, Strive. That's
Hold on, hold on.
incredulity. When you say this is crazy
No.
without any actual argument for why it's crazy, just because you can't comprehend it, that's called incredulity.
Oh, I understand it for sure. But look, the male species, right? Let's say we evolved from bacteria the way I'm sorry to cut you up. Let's say we evolved. That's just the male species version. The woman could hold a baby. She has an oven in her stomach. So how did those two coincidences occur
That's not-
by
why are we
mistaken
talking about
accident?
putting
Like,
people
that is
in
the
a-
most perfect mistake ever. No,
How would you
she has,
explain
like,
the
an oven.
fact
She have a
that
baby.
there's like
Like a pop
30%
baby.
or I forget what the number is. It might be like 20% of pregnancies end in miscarriage. If it's like a perfect design, why would it end in miscarriage so often?
No. So people
Yes.
misuse the gift because to have a baby, you got to be in love. You got to plan. It's not like, you
didn't
know what I'm
say
saying.
abortion.
So we go.
How do
No,
you
let me shut up.
explain the fact
Wait.
that 20% of pregnancies end in miscarriage? How would you explain that?
Oh my God, my shirt. Yo, Tiffany, turn the Wi-Fi better, man.
I thought that you said that your parents didn't make you out of love. That they did it because they were, needy. if you will.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Where's this guy? What happened to him?
I don't know. I think that he asked his girlfriend to turn on the Wi-Fi.
Tiffany's on it. Don't worry. And
Yeah,
they go.
me losing a debate, furiously gesturing to my girlfriend to yank the router.
Pull the cord. Cut it. All right, then. I guess we'll move on to our next guest. Let me grab our super chat. Thanks for
guess
being here,
so.
friends. We're off to a hell of a start so far. Edward, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says increasingly dynamic for Rocky. That's not bad. Increasingly dynamic for Rocky. We'll have to do a vote on these slogans for Rocky. And C-Bar, thank you for the $5 super thanks. I appreciate that. Mr. McDizzle, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says the argument from poop is my favorite argument for God. It's a good one. It's better than the argument from look in the mirror or look at the trees, I think. But remember, you need acid for that. Waffle, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says bro thought he was Phoenix Wright. You guys know who that is?
Yeah,
it's
he's like a lawyer.
Video game.
Yeah, video game lawyer. He says
no, no.
objection
I
a
object.
lot. Yeah.
It's like an
Fantastic.
anime game.
Miko, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really appreciate that. It says to
It's
Ian
not
Blitz.
dollars. Those are British pounds. Learn your currency.
Well, it's British dollars.
We won the war. We can call it whatever we want.
That's right.
True. USA. USA.
Pound is now a weight. To Ian and Blitz. Genesis continues. We'll know. God says,
no.
Tay
Oh, the Scottish
himself
Bible.
one day, I'll fix a wee bit dod o land dune there. So Tay sturt we, God ordered up some light, Tay break out over all the darkness. What language is this?
It's Scots.
That's
Do you
It's
think
either, it's either Scots or perhaps what's it called? It's perhaps a Caribbean pidgin or Caribbean Creole rather.
Can you imagine being like a victim
But I
of the
think it's Scots.
Inquisition and they bring a guy in and he just starts reading like the Scottish Bible to you?
I'll convert. Stop fucking reading.
That's what we have to look forward to in like the 2050 Christian nationalist Inquisition.
2025,
Yeah.
the 2025 Project 2025 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's upon us. Mike, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, God damn it, Tiffany, turn the Wi-Fi back on. Yeah, Tiffany, we're having a good time there. All right, we'll get our next guest here. I don't know who was in the queue next because that guy was having so much fun with us. So I've picked who's ever on top, which is Toe Muncher 22. That sounds PG. How you doing, Toe Muncher?
Thanks.
You can't just call people
Real
toe
well.
munchers, Justin. Sounds like a slur. Quit it. You're gonna make all the audio files leave. Let's get rid of this guy. He's just blowing into the
Okay.
mic. I think he's just trying to hurt people's ears.
Maybe? I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. Huh. Well, that was something. I guess we'll grab, after that, Mr. Oohoo.
That's a name.
Similar to...
Mr. Uwu.
Hey, somebody who actually pronounced my name correctly. Nice.
Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't.
Don't.
Mr. Oohoo, are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
I am 20 and I'm agnostic.
Well,
Okay.
thanks for being here, I guess.
No,
Congrats.
Like,
He fucking screamed like the Emperor in episode 6.
my
No.
favorite thing. My favorite thing is cutting people off mid. No, wait.
Don't drop me. I want to play devil's advocate. No, well, sorry, we don't want you to. We don't care about that. Listen, if you don't believe in a God, we're not here to debate you. We're here to debate people who do legitimately believe in a God.
And we're not
Or
really
multiple
hurting for
gods.
guests, so.
Ratal.
Hey, what's up?
Well,
get
we
it
tried.
right?
We tried. Look, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Raw Towel, are you at least 18, and do you believe in a god or multiple gods?
I believe in a God.
Okay. A specific god or a generic god? Do you believe in like Jesus or Yahweh or Allah?
It depends on the definition of what God is, right? That's where people get their
Well, yeah. So
Well,
how do
what's
you
your
define
belief
definition?
God?
system.
What is the thing
I
you
feel
believe
like
in?
the definition of God to me is the all, the creation of all,
Is that consistent with a
present, and
completely
future.
natural creation? A completely natural origin for the universe?
I believe that could fall into the definition as well.
Okay. So
That
is
it's
your view
a
consistent with
large.
atheism?
I don't think so.
Oh. But if your view is consistent with naturalism, and naturalism is consistent with atheism, it
Naturalism
sounds like
entails atheism
What if
even.
naturalism and a belief in God and atheism, and what if that's all part of the bigger picture? What if
Then
stepping
the
back and
laws of
looking at
logic are
everything from a whole?
false, because that's a contradiction.
So what if a
Atheism and
contradiction
theism
is
can't both be true. If atheism is true, then there's no God. If theism is true, then there is a God.
So what if that's all part of the larger plan of creation for different polarity and perspectives?
I don't know what we're meaning by polarity there, but that's not the
Opposites,
case, because that's a
right? Yin
contradiction,
yang,
and contradictions are
hot cold.
false.
So is that true? Or is it
Yeah,
based
it's
off
true that
perspective?
contradictions are false, yeah.
Okay.
That is true. It's called the law of non-contradiction, given to us by Aristotle, if you want to look into it.
What about the law of polarity?
Which law
who gave
is
that to us?
So back to God being what the definition of God means based on your perspective, right? So
Do you think a mind created the universe?
a mind? I
Yeah.
think there's definitely a system in place.
Do you think that answers
Right.
the question?
I'm working on it. So there's definitely intelligent design, whether by accident or whether put into place by an intelligent system or an intelligent creative force.
Intelligent design by accident?
Accidental intelligent design.
Accidental, non-accidental.
Ian, have you ever accidentally
don't know.
intelligently designed a program?
But yeah, it's I fucking tripped and I fell, and then sitting in front of me was like a robot that I designed and carefully constructed.
So do you think
Oh,
there's
no,
no
hello,
intelligent
world.
design in the creative force and the structure of this reality we're part of?
Well, I think that there's intelligent design that comes from intelligent minds. Like, I think humans can intelligently design things. I
So
don't think
what
humans
gives- what
themselves
gives
are intelligently
humans-
designed. I don't think the Earth
All right, so
itself
what gives-
is intelligently designed, and I don't think the solar system is intelligently designed.
All right, may I interject? So
Yeah.
where do humans get the intelligence from?
Their
Do you
brains.
think that just happened by accident?
Evolution. It's not really an
You think-
accident.
So you think intelligence itself comes from the human mind?
Evolution,
Yeah.
the mind.
That there's not a greater I think the intelligent design is beyond the human mind, and it's in
How would you
everything
explain
around
the
us.
fact that people get less intelligent when they get lobotomized?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it
a
is,
great
isn't
question. I don't have the answer to that.
Well,
But
I think
what you're
that
saying
the
is-
reasonable explanation is that if not the entirety of massive portions of our mind and especially our intelligence come down to our brains.
okay, and the brains were created how?
Through evolution.
Through evolution, right? And
Mm-hmm.
evolution itself. Where does that come from?
Evolution is just a statistical
just
inevitability giving a self-replicating organism.
A statistical inevitability giving us a self-replicating organism. That just happens by chance as well? Or is there
No, it's an
some
inevitability.
force?
It's not chance involved.
So is there a creative force behind the inevitability, or is it just randomness?
No. It's
And
due
even
to
if
the
it
law
was
of large
randomness,
numbers.
all right, so the law of numbers, right?
Law of large numbers.
The law of large numbers, that itself, is that not a part of God, the word
No.
God, which to me means the creative force behind everything in existence?
No.
Does that doesn't it? Well, once again, based on perspective and of your definition itself and what
I'm sorry,
God
I got it
is,
wrong.
the word.
It's the law of truly large numbers, not the law of large numbers.
Okay,
Very
the
different
law
thing.
of truly large
Amateur.
numbers. Is that? Can I ask what your definition of God is?
Yeah, a mind that is responsible for creating or sustaining or grounding the universe.
Creating, sustaining, or grounding the universe. That's your definition of God. Isn't God a part of the universe, and God is the universe? So why would it be grounding the
No, I
universe?
gave a
Why
different
would-
definition.
No.
Okay, so there's just a difference in definition, pretty much, in perspective. So it's gonna.
Yep,
My,
your definition is
my,
consistent with atheism.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, welcome to atheism,
my
buddy.
perspective.
Congratulations.
My perspective may vary, but it's a good conversation regardless. But my definition of God is a probably a broader perspective of what people narrow it down to. I believe the certainty, the uncertainty, the polarity that all these things exist
Polarity?
within God. Polarity.
What do you think polarity
you know.
is God?
Even
You
everything.
know, north, south, atheism, theism.
Hot, cold. So everything exists on the right on. It's just
Existence,
the
non-existence.
scale of polarity, the scale of vibration.
There's a bit of non-existence
that if
in
you
God.
go far enough,
The scale
so-
of polarity? You
Yes, if
think
you
polarity
go
is a
far enough-
scale?
so check it out. If you got hot and you go far enough down the scale to the opposite end, hot becomes cold. Cold
Do you
becomes
think
hot.
there's a spectrum in
You mean a
dichotomies?
spectrum?
I believe there's a spectrum in existence. I believe
Granted.
that's
Things,
like,
one of the
partially
systems in
exist.
place. I
So
believe
things
there's
can like partially exist and partially not exist?
yes,
Like existence is a spectrum? Got it.
definitely.
Does God partially not exist?
And also perspectives, and also the same way somebody's going to say they believe in God because of this certain set of principles, and somebody says I don't believe in what that definition of it because of this set of principles. Even that itself is an example of the polarity that's occurring in a reality.
So
Even this conversation
that
in
would just be to
itself,
misunderstand
but
the
to me-
definition. The way that the term God is used by all modern day theologians is to refer to a personal entity that stands in some sort of like sourcing relationship to the universe, like a creation, a causation, a grounding, something of that sort. To quote like Peter and Van Wagen, God is just like a maximally great person.
Okay,
so
a
that's
single
what it
personal
means,
deity,
right? Like God, by definition, is separate from the universe. God can't be the creator of the universe and also the universe, because that means that God would have created himself, but that's not possible.
So what is possible?
To say all the words that we've been saying is possible. To add 2 plus 2 in your head is possible. What kind of a question is that? Lots of things are possible.
It's a great question. It's a great question. So 2 plus 2, these are basic things what we've come to understand is true, correct? These are ideas that we've constructed as human beings, right?
That's hotly contentious.
Yeah, maybe it is. But it all goes back to the definition. If you what you just described was the definition based off Peter and so, whoever else, that it was described as a personal deity. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Personal deity. To me, it's I really try to take a broader perspective, and it's the overall deity. As if all things coexist under one great universe. And itself, to me, that is God. We
Did
are all
God
God.
create the universe?
I think God is the universe. That God is the creative force, the system behind it, the design. That it's all in one.
So God
And
designed
we're all
himself?
a part of that.
God designed himself?
I'd say so. I think
Okay,
God
well,
is. The,
that's
I think
not
I'd say
possible.
God is the design in itself. Is God.
God. So
I'd say
did,
God is the design in it.
Did
God
the
is
universe-
the design.
did the
God is
universe
the
get
design and
created?
the design and the designer, the alpha and the omega, the
Did the
hot, the
universe
cold, the
get
good,
created?
the bad.
Was the universe created?
The universe is still the universe is still in creation.
Was there a point where the universe didn't exist?
Possibly.
So there was a point where God didn't exist.
Even in the abyss, God would exist.
Try this
Because
again.
God
So
would be
there was a-
God would be
There was
God
a
would
point
be the
where
abyss
God
as
did-
well.
I don't know why you're shouting over me. So there was a point where God didn't
passionate.
exist then. If God is the universe,
I would say
and the universe once didn't exist, then there was a time
the
where God didn't
existence,
exist.
the existence and the non-existence. The existence
So
and the
God
abyss.
is non-existent? We finally agree. You
No,
finally
so-
met us
so-
on a point of agreement.
yes,
God
I bel-
doesn't exist.
But
We
also-
found it.
But also,
Why
Yeah,
are you
shout
getting
louder.
fucking loud,
It'll-
Mike? What
so
the hell?
back
your,
to polarity.
He fucking
It'll
cranked
help
his
your
dick.
argument if you yell louder. Just yell louder and your argument won't be so shitty.
Okay, so check it out. The existence. and
Yeah,
the
let's
non-existence.
you're not gonna fucking win this one.
The existence and the non-existence. The polarity.
The polarity. Oh
Yeah.
shit! That you convinced me.
It
I
can't-
believe in the
it
polarity.
Cannot be denied. It cannot be denied. So
I'm agreeing with you. I'm an electrical engineer. I love polarity. Let's do
There we
it.
go.
Fucking
The
worship
abyss.
polarity. All
the
right.
abyss. So you
Listen,
said-
Raw, you're in the abyss mentally right now. We got to move on to somebody else. But thanks for coming up. Okay, we got some super chats. We're gonna get our next guest in here. Hopefully, we get something a little more on the
we
level.
should just specify, hey, if you don't think that like a mind created the universe or like grounds the universe or like something to that effect, don't request to join. That's what we mean when we say God isn't real. If you're here to argue with us, we're like restricting the definition, or if you're here to say, well, I think existence exists, well, we definitely don't disagree with that. So, let's just
Bet.
not waste each other's time.
Agreed.
Can you prove that existence exists?
No. And the fact that I can't prove it proves that proofs exist, or that a lack of proof exists. Fuck,
Can
I
you prove
can't
that
it.
existence is a predicate?
I'm skeptical as to whether or not existence is a predicate.
Get
Optimus
counted?
Rhymes. Thank you for the super chat. I'm no biologist, but I don't think women hold babies in their stomach. And I too went through 8th grade biology, and I think that might be true. I think that might be the case, that they don't carry it in their stomach. The jury's still out. Jay Cal, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says 3 big hitters. Praise Doug. Well, thank you, Jay Cal. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you, buddy. And we have 2 giant hitters just below me on screen. Dan, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says Raw Towel must have just finished listening to a Jordan Peterson podcast before joining, and that seems to be the case. That's the most believable thing about that caller that's been said so far.
You really shouldn't speak poorly of the nearly dead.
Fucking A.
The last thing he'll remember is Danny saying you're really quite nothing.
That poor man.
Oh, boy. And Jay Cal again says, thank you for the $10 super chat, says a doctor and Ian and Doug's profit cooking time. Yes, we do have a doctor.
Yeah, Ian, you're just Ian. You're
I'm
not
just
even
Ian.
just Ian. You might just be allegedly Ian. In
Yeah,
fact. It's
I'm
not-
Ian,
Hasn't yet,
allegedly.
hasn't yet been determined in a court of law.
Objection. Mike, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says, but how about the law of big ass triangles? I would definitely appreciate that law, actually. Indeed. And Jay Cal again, thank you so much for the additional super chat. It says a football game. Allegedly, Ian on defense calls for a doctor blitz to cause a fumble, so allegedly Ian can bring Doug to the deconstruction zone. Wet for share. That's right. Thank you, Jay Cal. Yes, Jay Cal, it is Sunday, and also stay sinfully wet for Sharon. Absolutely. And Miko, with the additional super chat, says, well done, Justin. It's the Glasgow Bible, Scotland. How do we say Glasgow? Is it Glasgow?
I think it's Glasgow.
Glasgow. It's the Glasgow Bible, Scotland. It's Great British Pounds. Well, Miko,
No, it's
I appreciate
great British pounds.
Oh, great!
Emphasis on the great. Yeah.
That-
I think they're just all right British pounds.
Underweight British pounds for sure. Base Lords, thank you for the $5 super chat. It says, cute question for Ian. What do you think about the Manchurian trilemma?
You tried your
hardest.
Munchausen?
Is that the
It's Agrippa's.
epistemic one?
Yeah, it's
Is that like
cyclic
foundationalism
explanations.
or?
Yeah, coherentism or infinite regress. Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that you should be foundationalist. I think that there's like fatal flaws in coherentism. Specifically, I think that if you ever got into like a mental state where you could no longer form new beliefs, but the set of beliefs that you had at the time when you could no longer form new beliefs was a coherent one, then you would be justified in believing what you already believe, even if you're like brought into new circumstances with like new like appearances, new like whatever. So like if you're on top of a mountain and you're like looking around you, it's coherent, etc., and then you get like hit with some cosmic rays and you can no longer form new beliefs. Then in a situation like that, even if you like were taken off the mountain and were taken to like the doctor's office, you would still be justified in believing that you're on the mountain because it's coherent. And I think that that's like a reductio to the view. I tend to like foundationalism more. I think that there's good arguments that like certain. I like Michael Humer's approach to it. The idea that that you can give like a transcendental, like a self-defeat style argument for the evidential weight, like the justificatory weight of seemings. I think that that's compelling. I also I'm partial. I think I'm coming around to like epistemic externalism. Basically, what that means is that you leave all of your beliefs as like an if statement. Like, if my senses are functioning and my like mental faculties are functioning, then I know all of these things. And then you just never give like an argument for like whether or not your mental stuff is functioning, whether or not your senses are functioning, whether or not any of that stuff's functioning. And then you're just like, okay, you know, my shit could be like misfiring, but even if it is, like, it's totally fine. Because I can know like all of these if statements.
So it's actually an interesting question, right? Because the Munchausen trilemma, really the way that it's described is that you have circular argumentation, you have regressive argumentation, or you have ungrounded argumentation. But transcendental arguments are not quite that, although you could argue that they are ungrounded in the sense that you kind of just assert that, you know, doing the contrary is impossible without providing an argument for that. So it's maybe you're suggesting that there really should be like a tetralemma, right? Mm-hmm. Ian's tetralemma, and just tack on transcendentals or something like this.
Well, typically people would take it. Typically people would take that sort of transcendental argument to just be a form of foundationalism. Nobody really holds that. In epistemology, nobody thinks that it's like a good epistemic method to just like make an axiomatic assertion. It's just an axiom, man. Like, you need some reason that actually like justifies it, or like some way in which the denial of it would be like self-defeating.
Well, the only issue is that if you assert that the denial of something is self-defeating, then that's something you have to demonstrate.
Yeah.
And that can be hairy without, again, asserting something else is self-defeating. Or it sounds like you end up again trying to justify why that claim is self-defeating, and you end up back at the Munchausen trilemma.
That's probably true, right? So an easy example, let's say you didn't believe that beliefs existed. I would say that that's self-defeating, but if you also don't believe in like logic or things like that, I'd probably have to, I'm not sure that there's like a straightforward way to get somebody to accept that it is self-defeating, to believe that beliefs don't exist, if they just like reject like logic. Like, I don't know, I don't really know how to like branch that chasm, right? I don't know. I haven't read into epistemology very deeply, though.
That seems like that's kind of the issue, right? That's like the foundational issue is that like at the end of the day, you have to accept that like something either you have some sort of, there is some foundation that you just accept, and that your opposition accepts, your interlocutor accepts, and then you can just use that as a grounds to make an argument, or you have to give some sort of, you know, some other kind of justification. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Sure.
All right. We got one more super chat, friends, and then we're going to get our next guest in here. Luke, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, what's Doug's polarity? Doug doesn't have a polarity, friend. He pervades all realities. So no polarity in Doug. Good question, though. And let's see. I think 57 Donate 57 was next in line. And then after that, I think it's Sam from a YouTube queue. So let's bring in
By the way,
57.
Justin, I think that we're still hearing your Discord sounds.
Still? Fuck, I'm
so.
not even hearing them.
At least somebody was 5 minutes ago.
Oh, 5 minutes ago. Somebody
I don't know
sent
if you
me a
changed anything.
Discord. Somebody sent me a Discord message and let me know if you hear them. I think you're probably hearing them. Well, TikTok.
Okay,
can't
never mind.
hear
We're
'em.
good. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we're good on TikTok. Let's see about YouTube.
But I don't see how YouTube's going to be able to hear them. I'm pulling my audio directly from TikTok and from the
Okay.
Unapologetic stream. We'll see.
Seems like we're good. Ignore me.
Okay. 57, welcome in. Are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
I am 18. I don't believe in God. I just want to know what's on the chalkboard. Please, can I know what's on the
All right.
It's just
and we're
scratch
gonna,
work. It's just scratch
move
work.
on.
That's all it was.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
scratch work, friends.
Got some right side up triangles, got some upside down triangles.
We were
you
trying
know.
to figure out which side is right side up, which side is right side down.
What's the objectively morally correct way to write a triangle?
If you ever
That's what
wondered
Dr. Blitz's thesis was on.
It is.
what physicists do for their fun time, this is what they do. All right, let me grab Sam from our YouTube queue, and then we'll keep the conversation rolling. Sam, welcome. Are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Hi, yes, I am. And I think this is such, an honor for me to be able to, finally speak with Justin because I feel like Justin has had like such an impact on on me coming to conclusions about certain arguments. I'm from Nigeria and my question to you is this, yeah? So I was in a conversation with someone and he was like, what do you say about the miracles that occur in church? And he was like trying to be so super,
Well,
really
so
obsessed about it.
Sam, I appreciate being here, but we're trying to debate people who believe in God, so that's kind of the goal right now. So,
Yeah, I
what God
know.
do you what God do you
I'm
currently
trying to
believe
ask the
in?
question. I believe in the Christian God.
Okay, so you're still a Christian. Cool. So, what would be an evidence
Not
or argument for the
necessarily.
Christian God being real? Oh, so you're not a Christian. You believe in the Christian God, but you're not a Christian. Pretty sure that's the definition of
Okay,
being a
so let me put it
Christian.
this way. I was indoctrinated for years, dogma of being a Christian, that kind of thing. But personally, I have come to rationalize certain things and over time watching you and all of that. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm trying to ask on behalf of someone. I'm trying to ask a question that will help me to be able to answer more people along the way,
Okay, so
because
you're not a Christian, but you want help debating against Christians?
is that weird?
No, it's not weird. It's just not what we're here for. You know?
We can give you like a quick answer, then we have to move to the next guest.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're welcome to ask a question, but we're not going to.
in terms of like the church miracles, you're gonna need to dig into each one individually. There is no like one size fits all answer. A good rule to remember is that you should always be preferring explanations that are in line with laws of physics to explanations that are supernatural in nature, because if supernatural things exist, we have no idea how they work. But if everyone agrees that natural things exist. So we know how things work in the physical world. We know how things work in like the psychological realm. So we should just prefer like the explanations that are going to be like natural explanations to the ones that are supernatural explanations. It's going to depend on the miracle, though.
All right, then I'm gonna just, hop out. I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming up.
Thanks for being here.
Cheers, friend. I mean, he was nice. He was nice. Friends, thanks for being here. We're going to get some opposition here in a second. I'm sure we will. Tim, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, instead of baby paste, ask if they want real baby back ribs. Chili's baby back ribs. And yes, this needs to happen. When we get around to doing another baby paste rabbit trail, we'll definitely end it on baby paste baby back ribs. I think this is a good idea. I like that one. We're going to get an emoji for that. Low Bar Bill, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, I can't say that first word on TikTok. Guys like Sonny.
Sony.
Okay, we're doing... What's happening right now? Why is this joke happening? Trans people for both.
Okay,
I see
no,
what you're
hold on.
saying.
I get it. It's actually funny.
Okay.
It's actually funny
It's just stereotypes. Yeah, I get it. It's kind of funny.
because Sony and Panasonic and Bose.
This is a dangerous chat to read out loud on TikTok, though, Lobar. You got to be careful with words you're asking people to read on TikTok so you don't get the live. But yeah, so we get what you're saying, Lobar, but we appreciate that. And yes, absolutely rock hard for Doug. Thank you for that.
Low Bar Bill is a funny name to have
really
like the
is.
picture of like William Lane Craig.
All right, let's grab our next. I think, and I could be wrong, I think Nicholas was next in line. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join as well. There's a link on the screen, tiny.cc/UA guest. And it's also a clickable link in the description of the video. If typing that many characters is a problem, you can just click on it in the description of the video. And with that, we'll get Nicholas up. If Nicholas can connect. What you munch on, Ian?
An acai bowl.
I knew it was gonna be acai.
They're very good.
Some power health, cringe vegan, fruit bowl.
What did you
Nicholas is
call
having
me?
trouble.
A cringe vegan.
I don't think Nicholas is gonna make it. He got the loading symbol. We'll give him a second though.
It's always acai with you people.
Us people.
Yeah, vegans.
I was watching your debate against that one engineer. I think it's
I'm
incredible.
so sorry.
No,
The one that I posted this morning?
yeah. How can you tell
was
that
rough.
somebody's an engineer? Don't worry, they'll let you know.
Hello.
Oh, there he
How you
is.
doing, Dixon?
Doing great. How about you guys? How about yourselves?
Doing well, thanks for asking. Dixon,
Sorry,
are you at least?
Dixon, what's your last name?
Myaz.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's a little weird. People find it to be weird. I don't get it. I don't get why.
It's not weird. It's just a a demeaning joke.
It's a
but
little
whatever.
odd. Yeah, it definitely is a little odd.
It's
I'll
not
say that.
odd, but we know how words work. We see what you did there.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't do anything.
Dix,
That's my legal birth name.
I'm sure.
Alright,
So Dix, are you at least 18?
Why don't we
and
call
do
him
you believe in
Richard?
God?
Yes, I'm 23 years old, and I absolutely believe in God.
Okay. In any specific one?
Yes, I follow. I'm a Muslim. I follow the Muslim religion.
Okay. What would be the most compelling
right, yeah,
evidence
so,
argument for God existing then?
Yeah, so I'm not going to base it on my religion. I'm just going to talk from more of like a philosophical aspect of it.
I mean,
Yeah, so
just to
I
be
believe
sure,
that the
we're going to bring your specific God into it since you have one.
Oh no, yeah, you feel free to do that. But the premise I'm going to make is why I believe God exists. So are you guys agnostic or are you guys full right atheists?
It just depends on what you mean. Like the claim about agnosticism, some people interpret that to mean that like, oh, people are just not certain. And so, you know, if you're a fallibilist about knowledge, which I think
I mean, I'm
all
going to
of us
take it that you
are,
guys are agnostic since you guys.
So
Oh, sorry.
So look, the claim, it just depends on what you mean by agnostic. If you looked on the internet and looked for definitions that like atheists use, you'd probably find that that we would fall under the agnostic atheist category, in that we're not claiming absolute certainty about anything, but make of that what you will.
All right, yeah. So I believe that the universe was obviously I believe it was contingent on something, and we know this to be
Why?
true
Obviously.
because yeah. So the universe cannot be infinite, right? We
Why?
agree on
Why
this.
not?
Oh boy.
Because if in order for there to be like infinite like space and time, there should also be infinite matter, or else that would contradict
Sure.
Murphy's law. And if there's also infinite matter, then the entire sky would basically be bright.
Hold on.
Because there's an
So-
infinite
so-
number of stars.
There's an issue here. First, Murphy's Law?
That's not Murphy's law.
Yes,
by the way.
Murphy's law. Let's say,
Which one's
can
Murphy's law?
I explain
The-
what I mean by Murphy's law?
Please.
Yeah, so Murphy's law, it's kind of like the idea of like, if anything can happen given enough time, it will eventually happen, right? If
That's
it's-
the
if it's
law of
physically
truly
possible.
large numbers. That's the law of truly large numbers. It's not Murphy's law. But anyway, what you're referring to is something called Olber's paradox, which is that if the universe is infinitely large and it's infinitely old and it's static, then you would see an infinitely bright, or not infinitely bright, then there would be no night sky. Then the night sky would be pure white. But we don't think the universe is static. In fact, we've known the universe isn't static for the last 70 years or so. So you can have an infinitely large universe. You can even have an infinitely old universe. So long as the universe is expanding, you don't run into an issue of Olber's paradox.
So are you saying that there's a possibility of finite matter and infinite space? and
No,
infinite
still
time?
an infinite amount of matter. Yeah.
Yeah, but then how would
It's
that work?
totally
If it's
possible to
infinite?
have an infinite amount of matter in an infinitely large universe, as long as that
No,
universe is
there should be
expanding
an infinite
and it's not
amount of matter.
infinitely old. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no issue with that.
but can we agree that the universe is contingent and it's finite?
No,
No.
Oh, so you don't agree on that?
no, I
so-
definitely don't agree it's finite. I mean, whether or
what
not
do you
it's
mean by that?
contingent or not, that's a different story.
Well, no. I mean, if you say that it's contingent, right? Would you say that that's like a? Would you say it was a? How do I say it? Like a smart existence, an existence with like knowledge,
I don't know what that question means.
or like God in this sense, like
I,
something.
I'm
something
not
more
willing to
powerful
grant
than
that it's.
yourself.
I'm not sure that it is contingent.
Like even if you think like it's an alien, right? Let's say you think that some like
I'm not sure that it
alien
is
created it.
contingent. I don't know how I could be more clear about
Yeah,
it.
but if it's not contingent, then it would have that would like kind of like there would be no Big Bang in that sense. If there's
Well,
no,
wait. So we should
I
get
don't
clear
see
on
how
one
that
thing.
follows.
When we talk about contingency, because of like Thomas Aquinas's third way, people mean one of two things when they say contingency, and we should probably get clear on which one. So contingency, in terms of like the way Thomas Aquinas uses it, for example, kind of just means like a thing depends ontologically on something else. Or you could mean contingency in the modal sense that something is possible but not necessary. So when you say the universe is contingent, which one are you saying?
dependent on something.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so given that definition, I'm not sure that the universe is contingent.
Well, let's talk about like the Big Bang, right? So we come down to a conclusion that it happened like roughly like between 10 and 15 billion years ago, right?
Sure.
Why like that sounds like such a short period of time. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
Like
sure.
wouldn't it have
like,
to be like maybe like an octillion, maybe like octillion years
Why?
before like we got something like human life?
Well,
I'm more
look,
feeling
I
like a
mean-
gagrillion.
a gorillion?
No,
I mean,
honestly,
like,
should
look,
have been infinite amount of time.
Why?
that doesn't follow. I mean, like, look, we were going to find ourselves. So, if our universe was not life permitting for some period of time, say for the first billion years or so, after the Big Bang, because it was too hot or there weren't stars or whatever, then we were going to find ourselves as, life, as examples of life, right? We were going to find ourselves at some period after that.
Definitely.
Now, the fact that we find ourselves fairly early, that's something called the cosmological coincidence problem as to why we're so early. And on the one hand, it could just be that we are some of the first life to exist. And, maybe that's just the case. On the other hand, there could be a reason as to why we're some of the first life to exist. It could be that actually our universe might only live to be 50 billion years old, in which case us showing up 13.8 billion years into it, maybe it's not so surprising. It's an interesting question, surely, but I don't understand how asking the question implies that a God exists.
Well, no, it's just like it doesn't seem like a long enough time to get like human life. Like for example, like
Oh, surely it is.
I don't want to like.
What do you base that off of?
Topic.
Have you like looked into this and then done calculations to come to the conclusion that this is like definitely an insufficient amount of time, or is it more of like a vibes based opinion?
No, it's just 13.7 billion doesn't seem like a rational amount
Is
of
it?
time.
But
I
is
mean,
it like
I
vibes? Is
would
there
argue-
like
I
a
would
like a
think it's like
basis for
confusion.
that, or
What was that?
is it? Do you come to the conclusion that 13.8 billion isn't enough because of vibes? Do you come to that conclusion based on some specific calculation? Like what is it?
No, I would say that I would say that it 100% makes sense. Like even like 1,000 years makes sense if you believe in God, right? But I feel like if you don't believe in God and you believe that universe is like it kind of came about in itself, then it really shouldn't have been a finite amount of time. It should have been an infinite amount of time that the universe has
Why?
existed.
Why?
Because that means that it was.
Hold on. You're confused. So we don't think that the universe began at the Big Bang.
You believe there's like a bigger universe, and
Well, look, the question is whether or not whether or not the timeline started then, or whether or not the Big Bang was merely a special event in the history of our universe, right? That's the question. Now, we can mark time. Why is my green screen acting strange? Anyway, we can mark time however we want. We can mark time from yesterday and say, oh, it's been 1 day since yesterday. When we say the universe is 13.8 billion years old, what we're saying is that it's been 13.8 billion years since the Big Bang.
Somebody fucking slimed Blitz's green
13
screen.
point. You said it's since the Big Bang. Oh, before the Big Bang, you have any ideas of what you think there may have been? And was it bound by space?
I could speculate.
Was...
I could speculate, but I don't know how useful that would be.
I mean, I feel like the whole idea that I really don't think that, like, logically, like, if you can, I don't want to say logically in that sense, but kind of like scientifically, I don't think that we can find what caused, like, even if we find something that caused the Big Bang, then we would have the question of what caused that, and then we'd have like infinite regression, obviously, right? Would you?
Well, or
Would
we
you agree
would
with this?
find something that we understand to not have a cause, or we would find that cause and effect is really kind of a silly idea that's outmoded and has been since 2,000 years ago.
Or, I mean, you could also find that the universe is cyclic, that one of the former states of the universe has like repeated, and then at that point you could stop asking like, well, what caused that, because you would just have the answer.
I mean, sure. I mean, you can say that, but I mean, I personally, I feel like the idea that science hasn't taken us to any, you know, objective like reasoning as to it. That's why I mean I would believe in God. Like obviously I believe in I believe in both like free will and predetermination. I think they can work together for sure.
Premise 1, you don't know, thus the conclusion, God exists.
I mean, look, if you're relying on like a human endeavor that's maybe 100 years old max to try to figure out and find all of the answers to human existence and, you know, the existence of the universe at all, I don't know, man. I think that you have too high a standard there. I think give it more than 100 years.
Do you think that
you don't think 13.8
human
billion
divine-
years is sufficient to produce humans, but you do expect 100 years to be sufficient to produce knowledge of every fact in existence, it seems?
No, because we have the knowledge now. Because I mean, we're humans. We're like the knowledge came from us. Like, what caused us though? I feel like I mean, yes, technically, human life the creation of human life is a lot more like rare than having intelligence.
You're like covering your microphone or something.
Oh, my bad. It's like the idea that we have intelligence, though. It's kind of like, what were the odds that we had intelligence to come up with these certain ideas?
I don't know how we would go
You
about
understand what I'm saying?
calculating the odds, but we know how we got intelligence. It was through a process of evolution.
I mean, no, I mean, I don't believe in evolution, but that's not
have
due
you
to,
have you
like,
looked
I mean,
into it?
I know like enough of what I need to know not to believe in it. I mean,
Sure.
monkeys
What
don't
makes you
speak.
think that evolution isn't true? Like, what of what you've looked into
I have two reasons.
have you found
I
like
have two reasons.
unpersuasive?
Yes, I have two reasons. One is that monkeys can't speak,
Hmm.
right? And then the second one would
Monkeys
be
can't speak English. They have their own
well,
language.
yeah, they can't speak
Monkeys are
English.
very vocal. Like they do. Like they have.
They have vocal cords.
Yeah, they communicate
Yeah, but they
verbally.
don't really
They don't
understand
use
what
like
we
words.
understand,
We
right.
agree that they don't use words, but they convey meaning with their vocals. And that's what we're
yeah, and
doing,
my
but just in
second-
like a more sophisticated way.
And my second reasoning would be that why aren't there like billions of like Neanderthals living amongst us?
Because we were more
fucked them out
adaptable
of
than
existence.
yeah, we're more adaptable than Neanderthal. So when times got tough, humans survived, Neanderthals didn't.
And monkeys survived as well.
Yeah.
So you only have to be,
monkeys
you have to be
survived as
either
well.
intelligent or strong to live.
You have
need
to
to
be
be-
fit
Either
to your
have to be
environment.
strong or intelligent.
You need to be
in order
good at
live.
something with respect to your environment. You need to fill some sort of evolutionary niche.
So would you say like a Neanderthal is like it's like a midway between our intelligence and a monkey's intelligence?
No,
and
No.
midway
This
between
is mistaken. So to be clear, Neanderthals were another species of human, right? Arguably, they were a subspecies of Homo sapien. And in fact, to say that Neanderthals don't exist anymore is false. We have the human average is something like 3% of human DNA comes from Neanderthals. We just bred with them. And all of the Neanderthals, because they had smaller family groups, they basically, their gene pool basically diluted into the Homo sapien gene pool. And so they kind of ceased to exist as an independent thing.
When you ask questions like, so you would say Neanderthals are about halfway between our intelligence and the intelligence of a monkey, that kind of makes me
And
think that
half
when
the
you said
strength
you've looked
between a
into
monkey and us.
evolution, that you were probably just lying about that, because this is a question that is answered like almost immediately from even like a cursory glance at our evolutionary history. I mean, if you haven't looked into it, that's totally fine. But I just don't think that we should be lying and saying that you did look into it when in fact you're like a bit confused on like pretty basic facts.
How did they live at that time then?
At which time?
At the
Who?
time in which they were living?
Neanderthals?
Yes.
Neanderthals lived in small family groups. Humans lived in bigger ones. They produced art. They produced clothes.
They produced clothes?
Yeah.
Do you have any of them?
I don't own any Neanderthal clothes, no.
I guess
I mean,
it
have we
didn't
found
happen.
any of them?
Yes.
We actually haven't.
Oh. I had
No, yeah,
never
but-
considered nuh-uh.
It's like, wait, can I make like one more great argument as to why I believe God exists?
Well, I think one more is being generous, but sure, yeah, go for it.
All right. So, look at what you're wearing right now, right? Are you wearing like your shirt, right?
Yeah.
Are you did you see the shirt get made?
Nope.
Are you certain that the shirt was created though by a designer?
Kaylee's
Certain.
shirt
I'm
maker
not-
argument.
I'm not certain that the shirt was made, but I'm confident that the shirt was made. Insofar as I've seen videos about how shirts get made, insofar as this is like the simplest explanation, is that shirts get made in the factory because that's economically incentivized. The alternative is that there's like some widespread conspiracy, and that's just on face very implausible. So I'm not certain that my shirt got made, but I'm like pretty sure.
So you give it a slim chance that it just appeared out of nowhere, right?
No.
You just said you did. You just said that.
No,
I'm
I
not
said that
fully certain
there's
that
like the possibility that like shirts are actually coming from like the shirt tree, or that they're found deep underground. Is that a possibility? It's a possibility, but my confidence that the shirts were made in the shirt factory is at like 99.999%.
Do you think it was a possibility that just came to existence?
I don't think that they like
Without
could have
it.
popped out of nothing.
Yeah, popped out of nothing.
Yeah, no, I don't think that.
Do you believe that the universe popped out of nothing?
Nope.
A matter in that sense?
Nope.
No.
You believe that matter had a beginning?
No.
You think matter always existed?
Well, I don't think that there was ever a time when there was no matter.
So you think matter always existed?
Not necessarily. Depends on what you mean by always. But
Well,
you
like
could have a
mass in
finite
general.
past. You could have a finite past in which every moment has matter. And that's no issue.
Well, no. I mean, if in order for matter to, if you say the matter, you said wait. Can you please repeat that about matter?
You could
said
have,
you don't believe
have
that
a
always
finite past.
finite past.
A finite past meaning always. That's why I said depends on what you mean by always. You could have a finite past in which every single moment contains matter.
I
And
disagree.
so then there would be no moments of time in which no matter existed.
So do you think that the amount of mass you think the amount of mass that we have today in the universe is the exact same amount of mass in during the Big Bang?
Mass isn't conserved, so no. I don't think that follows.
So you think mass can be created and destroyed?
Yes, obviously it can. In fact, we do it in particle accelerators all the time.
Oh, really?
Yep.
But I thought it was like a given thing in science that matter cannot be created and destroyed.
That's like a law of chemistry that Lavoisier came up with like 200 years ago, and it hasn't really been like it's not a law of physics. It's never been a law of physics.
And well, I mean, I still believe in God, obviously. I don't think that.
Sure you do. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Do you think a cause comes before its effect?
A cause comes before its effect.
Yeah.
It can happen simultaneously.
Yeah, before or simultaneously. Would you agree that a cause is either before or simultaneous to its
Yes,
effect?
I would agree with that. Yes.
Sure, yeah. And do you agree that God isn't before or simultaneous to anything if he's outside of time?
God doesn't work based on our space and time. He doesn't work based on like our physics.
Well, I didn't ask. When I was asking you
Well,
about
he
cause and
created
effect,
our
I wasn't asking
physics.
you about our physics. I was asking you about cause and effect as metaphysical properties, not the ones in our universe, just like all of cause and effect. Do you agree that all causes are either before or simultaneous to their effects?
Yes. But
Okay.
I don't believe God. I don't believe that something caused God.
That's not what I'm asking, but do you agree that God isn't before or simultaneous to anything?
Yeah. He's lived.
Then
He's
God's not
lived
the
like
cause of anything.
he has no
So
beginning.
God, yeah, totally cool. Then God didn't cause anything because a
What
cause
do you
needs
mean
to
he
be
didn't?
before or simultaneous. God's not before or simultaneous, so God wouldn't qualify as the cause of anything.
Well, no. He has the ability to create though.
Then you've contradicted yourself because you've agreed that a cause is either before or simultaneous to its effect, and that God is not before or simultaneous to anything, meaning that he's not before or simultaneous to any effect, meaning that he's not the cause of any effect.
Yeah, but I mean that's the whole idea of God though. Like the whole idea of God is
That
that
he's
it's
a
not working based
contradiction?
on like science. No. It's just like it's not. It doesn't work based on like
I've
science.
corrected you once on this, but I'm not talking about cause and effect in science. I'm talking about cause and effect in metaphysics.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I believe that he is infinitely wise, infinitely
But he can't be
powerful.
the cause of anything
And why is that?
be- because he's not before or simultaneous to anything.
All right. Let me try to think of like what you're saying right now.
Yeah. A
Well,
cause
no.
comes
Well,
before or during its effect. God isn't either of those things.
yeah. Well,
So
but he's
God can't
causing the
stand in
action
that
to
sort of
happen though.
relationship to any sort of effect,
So like
which
if he
means that
creates,
God cannot be the cause of any effect.
no, whatever he creates though. I mean, he's creating it either like he's creating it
He can't
as
cause
his,
anything.
And why is that? Why can't he cause
I've
anything?
explained this 2 times. Do you need it a third time?
No, you just like you just keep like repeating the same words, like
Y-
you just yelling
yeah,
cause and effect.
yeah. And you keep on not refuting them. So I'll tell you a third time. A cause is before or simultaneous to its effect. God is not before or simultaneous to any effects. Therefore, God is not the cause of any effect.
No, he's the cause of all effects after like that doesn't contain him.
Yeah, I accept that Socrates is a man. I accept that all men are mortal. But all of this Socrates is mortal business, I'm just not too sure. You can't accept both of the premises and then reject the conclusion. The conclusion deductively follows.
No, I believe that what he causes is before simultaneously what he's like in the moment in which he's creating something.
God's in
What he
moments?
no no
Then
no
God's in time.
no he's not in time. No.
You just said
You're
that
not
God's at
stumbling me. I'm not
moments. You just
stumbling.
said
No.
it.
No. I said he has the ability to work with our time. So
So
he can
does God
create like
exist does God exist on the timeline?
no, he's outside of space and time, but he can work
Okay.
within he can
Then
work
he's
within our
not
time.
before or simultaneous to anything.
Well, when you say before, you're like including time within it.
That is what before means, yeah.
Yeah, but I said he exists outside of time though.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? That is the exact like source of the contradiction is that causes must be in time because causes must be before or simultaneous to their effects. But God, if he's outside of time, isn't before or simultaneous to any effect, meaning that God is not the cause of any effect. That's the problem. The fact
Well,
that
no,
God's outside of
he sees
time
like
is the problem. Yeah. So he can't
no
cause anything.
he's capable of like seeing like infinite time, like he can like within our time range. Like he's so technically he doesn't like I believe God does have like a physical I believe that he is like a physical like being, an entity. But I don't
God is
think
a
that he
physical
exists
being?
within space.
God follows laws of physics?
No, I just said that he doesn't exist in space. So like
That's what
even though
physical means.
yeah, I believe he is physical.
So he
But I
follows
believe that
laws of
he has like a
physics?
he has a physical body that's not within um like space or time.
Does it follow laws of physics?
It doesn't have.
What's
to
it made out of?
What's what made out of?
The body, the physical body.
I can't. I'm not gonna make like a comment on that because I don't
Is
know.
it made out of like atoms?
Again, that's outside of our understanding.
So like
So-
it's made out of stuff, but that stuff just doesn't exist in physical reality.
I mean, no. Like the thing is, like if we're gonna try to like analyze things about God, it's like we're trying to outsmart God. Like, you can't exist because you're like.
Ah, I get it. Right. So we can't analyze the properties of this divine being of yours. It's not
I mean,
allowed.
no, because it's kind of like that's the whole idea of faith, though. Like the whole idea of faith is to have like you can't have faith without having like some sort of like how do I say it? What's the word I'm looking for right now? Like a confusion, sort of.
You can't have faith without confusion. We do agree on that.
It's a tempting offer.
Yeah, I
I'm
believe
sure
that.
lots of
I don't
people
think anyone's like
are
unless
considering
they were,
joining
like,
faith now. Does anyone, to anyone in the audience, maybe you would like to be a little bit more confused? If,
No,
if
that's not,
so,
like, the
this
whole
guy
point
has
of it.
a
Like, for
stellar
example, like,
proposition for you.
Yeah, so you guys like bring up certain things like, oh, why do natural disasters exist, and then it unalives like
Nobody's brought
innocent
that up,
human
though.
beings and children. So like the whole
Nobody's
idea
brought
for
that
that
up.
no,
Nobody's
because
brought that
I'm
up.
trying to bring up like I'm trying to make my point here. So it's like the whole idea of faith.
If only you were making arguments that I wanted you to make.
Yes, I know, but I'm trying to make like the argument of faith though. So yeah, I don't have to know 100% of everything. So I don't need to know like why there's natural disasters. I mean, this is like kind of like an idea that's implanted in my head that all right, you know what? Maybe God doesn't exist because why is this happening? But that's the whole test of faith. I mean, if God revealed himself, right? Then it would be kind of like what's the point of faith? Every single
So
person's going to follow.
Abraham didn't have any faith then.
No, he did. He had 100. His faith was like
But
he objectively
God talked
had
to him.
faith.
God audibly talked
No,
to
that's
him
my
and
whole
appeared
point
to
though. Yeah,
him.
yeah. So
Moses
yeah, so
didn't
he
have
didn't have any
faith.
confusion.
Israel did, Jacob didn't have faith.
I'm
Yeah,
no,
so,
yeah,
God
no.
making
They
himself
did.
a parent doesn't have anything to do with negating someone's faith because he does.
Yeah,
all
but
the
they
time.
didn't. They themselves had no confusion
Paul
because
didn't
they
have
saw
faith.
God. Because they saw God.
I think
They
this
knew
guy's
of God.
Muslim.
Like
Is Jesus God?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Is Jesus?
No, this
God?
guy's
well-
Muslim, I thought.
no, Jesus is not God. Like for example,
Okay,
if I
second.
like showed you that book, right? And if God said, all right, believe in me, and I'll like take that book behind you, and it's gonna start levitating in the air. And if it started levitating in the air, you would believe in God, would you? Or would you not?
Yeah, but you're confused. Faith and belief aren't the same thing.
What do you mean? I mean, no, faith
Faith and belief are different words. They have different meanings. You can believe something and have no faith in it. Like I can believe that my mother exists and still have no faith in her. That being said, I have full faith in my mother. You don't have not faith just because you believe in something.
Well, that's the whole idea of the religion, though. The whole idea is if you
No,
believe
it's not. The whole idea of the religion is to have faith in God. You have to believe in God before you can have faith in God.
Also, isn't this whole business of just have faith, you don't need evidence? Isn't that a very Christian notion? Aren't you Muslim?
Certainly is.
I mean, no, it's not really a Christian notion. I feel like it's very Abrahamic.
Yeah.
Not in
Well,
the Old
it's
Testament,
definitely
no.
not Jewish. It's definitely not Muslim. It's
Irresponsible
very like
epistemologies cross boundary splits.
No, I'm not.
Do you think faith gives justification for beliefs?
Does faith give justifications for beliefs? I would say yes.
So if I believed that my neighbors were androids, would I be justified in believing that my neighbors are androids?
No, because that's
Then we have a
irrational.
contradiction. I thought faith gave justification for beliefs.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. At this current status, I'm not like I'm not too knowledgeable, but I would love to come up on this live maybe in like a week after I'm like.
Sure.
Okay.
okie doke.
Well, thanks for
What do
coming
you
up,
guys
bud.
think?
Well, that was interesting. Very interesting. Friends, thank you for being here. We're going to grab a couple super chats. We'll get our next guest in here. Tim Davidson with another super chat. Thank you, Fred. Says, that's Occam's razor. That Occam's shaving cream. And this is Occam's monogram hand towel. Very
Why
well.
did he have
very
so
well.
much good toiletries?
He spends a lot of time in the bathroom, I suppose. He's got
Bro,
to
do you
take
think-
care of those acids. Unashamed Apostate says Murphy's Law, the fewer the facts, the stronger the faith. I don't think
Can we just
that's
start
Murphy's-
calling everything Mercy's Law?
I
Murphy's
think
Law.
that's the case. I think everything is Murphy's Law at this point now.
Yeah.
Daniel, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, if I get one more ad about that tower defense game, I'm going to lose my mind. Well, I can't help you there. We don't control the ads. The ads are based on your browser history and other things on YouTube. So if you don't like the ads you're receiving, you can only look at yourself, my friend. Stop playing games.
Or alternatively, and please don't do this because we rely on ad revenue, of course, but you can also just download Brave browser. They have a good ad block.
That
Yeah.
is accurate.
But don't do that.
Yeah.
Well,
if you
actually
enter
do
if you
that.
enter the code BLITZ in your checkout, you'll get 30% off your Brave browser subscription.
So, by all means, use Brave for everything except Unapologetic.
We're now shilling for Brave. This is wild.
Well, I used to use Chrome, but then Chrome disabled all ad blocks.
Yeah.
Which makes
Chrome
sense
sucks
because
anyways.
Chrome is owned by Google, and Google is the thing that makes money from ads. So, like, of course they would. But still,
Yeah.
I'm very upset about it.
Rev in danger. Can't quantum causes happen after their effects? I actually
No, false.
Yeah, I actually asked Blitz about this not that long ago about retro causation. It seems like this might be more mythical than reality.
Yep.
Bartholomew, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says AFAIK matter cannot exist outside space time. That's I don't know what AFAC means, but I agree with the conclusion that
Okay,
matter
Boomer.
can't.
As
What does it
far as
mean?
I know,
Oh fuck, I don't know.
it means as far as I know.
As far as I know, yeah, we agree with you. I don't think you have any.
If I could
complaints with
derail
that.
for just a second, Blitz, I have questions about. So I've been running the cause argument. I know that you're a cause anti-realist.
Absolutely.
But do you think the fact that like time, do you think it gets messy? The fact that time, like light causing things with its relation to time. Do you think that that would complicate like causes being before or simultaneous to their effects?
No. I mean, even if you're like, so if you want to be so the argument that you make is an internal critique, right? And if you want to be a classical theist, at least, you are accepting A theory. And in A theory, light exists in time, no problem. There's at each moment of time, the light is in a different place. It's traveling at the speed of light. There's no issue there. So that light will cause something. And also you have to believe that you have to be a causal realist, if you will. And so you just have to believe that, like, yeah, causes precede or are simultaneous with their effects. There's no issue there.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Cameron, thank you for the $20 super chat. Big W friend, thank you for that. Says Justin, can I be confused today? It could be so much fun. Darn, I couldn't stop laughing. Is that me? Am I confused? What's happening? Now I
No,
am
were you not
confused.
here for when he was saying like you need faith? Like a key element of faith is like being a little bit
Oh.
confused.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a tempting offer. Wow. You know,
I love confusion.
I've been doing like a lot of work to come to like some sort of like truth about reality. But wow, man.
Have you considered just being confused?
I haven't, but now I'm considering it.
You
Gosh.
should. It's fun. And you can do that scientifically, too. That's actually the business of being a scientist is, basically being confused about most things, most
Yeah.
times.
I'll be the perfect candidate for a Dr. Blitz live, so I can go up there and be deeply confused about a lot of different concepts. Just speed run through them, confusion after confusion.
If you talk
Yeah.
really fast, you can't get all your talking points addressed.
Especially if you're an engineer.
especially those motherfuckers got problems. Cameron, thank you for that super chat, friend. James, thank you for the super chat. Says Dixon stated the point of faith was to accept lack of understanding. To refute God isn't possible. It does not exist. We refute man. I mean,
What?
theoretically, we're refuting an idea of man. Is that what you're trying to say? I mean, we agree with you there. Anyway, thanks for the super chat. And Bartholomew, thank you for the $5 super chat. It says Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong for the caller. Yeah, I think that might be that's a better definition, I think, of Murphy's Law. But I'm no expert at words, friends. I think our next in line was Alf. So let me grab Alf from the queue. And guys, thank you so much for being here. Remember, tapping is clapping, like and share. We're almost at the 1,000 concurrent viewer mark on YouTube. And we're at 800 on TikTok. Let's see who can break 1,000 first today, TikTok or YouTube. All right, let's get our. Is our guest in here? They didn't connect. Okay, well that's unfortunate. Let me try.
Rest
the
in
next
peace,
one.
Alf.
Yeah, right. Oh, he's back, or she. I don't know if it's a he or she. How you doing, Al?
Hey, I had left, and then I guess there was still. Anyways, whatever.
I mean, you're in now. Alf, are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Yes, and yes.
Okay. And is it a particular God?
Yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah.
Okay. What would be the best
I would have never
evidence?
guessed.
I know, the
don't
cross
think-
didn't give it away at all.
Can I
What
say
would be the
something?
best evidence or argument for the Christian God being real?
Can I say something? I don't think it's fair that because I heard you say to the last guest, I don't think it's fair to do that. I think
To do
we
what?
have to look at God as.
Do you know how antecedents work in
concept,
sentences?
the
When you say
concept-
that, you have to tell us what that is before you say
I'm
that.
literally telling you. You're cutting me off while I'm telling you. That we should look at argue for the concept of God being plausible versus any particular God.
Well, go ahead and give it to us. What's the argument for God?
Yeah, there's a lot. I think
Well, we only need one.
to piggyback on the last guest, I think, and I was going back and forth a little bit with someone in the comments. God is eternal, and God can create finite things. I
Yeah,
don't
that's a
see
claim. What's the evidence that the claim is true?
Yeah.
logic
Logic proves God?
yes.
Yeah, logic is a thing. Logic is like a thing that applies to arguments. It's not a thing that applies to conclusions, you know. You
Okay,
can't just
so I
affirm a
believe-
conclusion and say that's logic. You need to give some reason why the conclusion is true in order for it to be logic. So what reason do you have to think that God exists?
Yes, I am trying to. You guys keep doing that when I'm trying to
You keep
explain
not
stuff.
giving evidence.
No, I keep literally trying to explain my point, and you guys keep saying I'm not giving evidence before letting me
The evidence,
talk.
please. We understand that you
Okay.
think God exists and you think that he can create finite creatures. We
let me talk
understand that.
then.
We just want the evidence that God exists, please.
Okay. So obviously, evidence is very subjective. We're not talking about science here, right? Logic is everything is subjective. I think you guys even mentioned this earlier that you really can't prove anything. Just like you were talking about the shirt thing, right? You really can't prove anything.
Is this a roundabout way of saying you don't have evidence?
I'm talking. If you're gonna let me finish talking, you can
I feel
at
like
least
that's
hear
the
my
case.
Given
point.
very compelling, very riveting analysis of the concept of evidence. We just
You're
want the
not
evidence
letting me
that God
speak.
exists, please. It's and you know, I know you have evidence for God's existence, but I'm getting a bit concerned that the audience might
No,
get
you
the
don't need to get
impression that you
concerned when
actually
you
don't
cut
have
me off after
evidence.
10
The more
seconds.
time you spend waffling around it and not giving the
You're not
evidence,
waffling around
maybe you
anything.
could just give the evidence for God's existence, please.
Okay, like I was saying, I think it's logical that an eternal being exists, considering that beings exist like us, right? That the source of our existence, conscious, intelligent beings, would be in a conscious, intelligent being. Nothing else really makes sense. Why would the universe create something so complex, so with so many abstract sort of attributes in a way, like a mind and intelligence and information, but it come from purely physical means? That doesn't make sense to me. That's evidence that points to a supernatural creator.
Okay. So incredulity is your argument.
Yeah. So
No.
we have really good reason to think that the way that this came about, the way that our intelligence came about, the way that the complexity came about, at least in the human body, is through evolution. So
even
we can
justify the
explain the fact
concept
that
of
humans are
intelligence.
intelligent and that we have a mind just as a product of evolution.
No, I totally disagree with that. You have to have the concept of intelligence. What about information itself? Information itself is not to be a byproduct of purely physical means is absurd. I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah.
It's not
Common sense is a great
information
argument, by the way.
inherently- Information is not inherently physical at all.
Yeah,
That's a cool
compelling
Yet
claim.
we
stuff.
know it exists and it's vitally important to existence.
Does information exist on a hard drive?
Yeah, and we made those
Are hard drives physical?
Yes, we no.
So then
it doesn't
information can
really-
be physical.
First of all, no, information does not exist in the same sense on a hard drive. We put that data there, and we're just, observing it. That's not the
But where
same
is it?
as
Where did we
DNA.
put that data?
That's not the same as DNA.
Is DNA physical?
DNA is information.
Is it physical?
DNA is the proteins are physical, but
Is it-
DNA itself is information. It's a code.
Is it physical? Is DNA physical?
Codes aren't physical.
That's dodge number 2, by
Dodge.
the way.
Dodge.
No, it's not a dodge.
Dodge.
I
Is
don't
it
accept your
physical? Is
premise.
DNA physical?
I don't accept your premise.
Yes or no? Is DNA physical?
DNA is a sequence of proteins.
Dodge.
Is that physical?
Dodge.
Is that physical?
Dodge.
Exactly.
Dodge.
Exactly.
Is DNA
You're
physical?
dodging. You're dodging.
Is
You're
DNA
dodging with
physical?
your
Yes or
question.
no?
You're dodging with your questions.
Is that a yes? Is that a
You're
no?
not
Is DNA
answering
physical?
you're not really refuting my
Just
point.
answer the question, right? Your
Exactly.
point is in the blender, and
You're
we're
the
closing the
ho- you're-
lid,
you
and
guys
you're
are the
trying your
host, and you're just
hardest to hold the
controlling-
lid off, but it's getting
No.
closed, and every time you dodge, it's just going to make you look more and more dishonest.
dodging.
I'll ask
You're
the question
dodging.
for like a fifth
You're
time:
dodging.
Is DNA physical?
You're dodging. Why aren't you explaining?
I don't think
what
anybody's going to
information is?
agree with that. Just answer the question. Stop dodging. Is
plenty of
DNA
people
physical?
agree with me.
And I know it like blends your point, right? It completely purees the argument that you're trying to make.
No, it
I'm
doesn't.
sorry. You know,
Information
that's
itself
my
is
bad. I'm sorry. I'm a
metaphysical.
big meanie.
I disagree
Is
with
DNA
you.
physical?
I
Yes or
disagree
no?
with your belief that information
DNA,
is
is it
physical.
physical? Yes or no?
DNA is evidence that information exists.
Is DNA physical?
DNA is proteins.
Are proteins physical?
Your question is irrelevant, but yes.
My question's relevant. You
Yes,
know
it
it's
is
relevant, which is
irrelevant.
why you're dodging. The answer's
I'm not
obvious.
dodging it.
And to be
It's
clear,
not
if anybody's
dodging.
thinking
If
about
your
converting to
question is-
Christianity, if anyone's
is
thinking maybe I'll
irrelevant.
become a Christian sometime soon, this is the pretzel that you're going to have to twist yourself into. Watch him unable
No,
to
I'm not-
answer the
I'm
question.
not.
He's dodged the question
You're
7
dodging.
times. If you're thinking about converting to Christianity, you too will have to dodge this question 6 times in a row. We'll ask the question a 7th time. Is
You're
DNA
lying
physical?
about me
Answer the
dodging.
question.
Plain and simple. I
Yeah,
answered
this
your
is the
question. Now what?
pretzel you can look forward to, budding Christians.
answered
This
your
is the
question. Now
pretzel
what?
that you will twist yourself into if you're thinking about converting to Christianity. This is what Christianity
answered your
does to you. It
question,
turns it
and you're
hollows
still
out your
repeating
honesty. It makes you incapable of engaging. It's a yes or no question. The answer's obvious. Is DNA physical?
I already answered you. Yes.
Is dodging the question morally impermissible on your view? And if so, why do you
didn't
do it
dodge
so
the
often?
question. I
You
didn't
dodged
dodge
it
the question.
7 times in a row. You
disagree
did
with
dodge the question.
The implications you're trying to smuggle in with your question. That
Just answer the
that is not
question.
illogical.
Just answer the question.
I already did twice,
No, you
3
didn't.
times.
I don't know how many hours of weasel footage you watched in preparation for this debate. I don't know if you're
I
running
don't- I
for
have no
mayor
idea
of
what
Dodge
that
City.
is.
I'm not sure if
Weasel?
this is your tryout for the
What is
starting
weasel?
lineup of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't know what possessed you to come up here and
Ad
refuse to
hominem.
answer a question that is an obvious answer. We can just put it into Google. Is DNA physical? The answer is yes. Of course
I already
DNA is
answered you 3
physical.
times
And
about
if
that.
DNA is information, DNA is physical, therefore information is physical.
No, that's not true.
It is true.
Information is a concept.
But it's physical. If DNA is information and DNA is
No.
physical, then information is
No.
physical.
Information is a concept. It's not.
So then DNA is not
Can you put
information.
Hold on. Can you put information
Is
under a
DNA a
microscope?
concept?
Can you put information under a microscope?
Yeah. If DNA
Now,
is information, you can put DNA under a microscope. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm saying that the code aspect, the order, right? The order aspect of DNA implies an intelligent mind. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but
That's
and
the
I think that that's
claim.
Yeah, I've heard.
simply,
We have heard it a million times. It just doesn't get any truer the number of times that we've heard it.
but you can't refute that
It's just an
There's
assertion. It's not backed up with
yeah,
implies
any
there's
sort of
nothing to
justification, so
refute.
there's nothing
implies
to
an
refute.
intelligent mind.
So give us the argument that it actually requires an intelligent mind.
Well, what like we said earlier, there is no proof of a lot of things like
We
Yeah,
asked for an
proof,
argument.
the
proof
shirt
perhaps isn't
example,
necessary. You could provide
like
evidence.
the shirt example. So go ahead. What was the question?
You can provide evidence.
Oh,
You don't
no, the
need to
person at
provide
the
proof.
top,
Evidence is okay.
destruction. What did you say? You had asked a certain question.
Who are you talking to?
Destruction. I said destruction.
What about it?
What
Oh,
was the question?
that says
What?
deconstruction.
Oh, my bad. Deconstruction.
What's the question?
You had asked the question right before but whatever. If you have a new question, blitz, whatever.
Look, the point is we just want evidence for this assertion that like information requires intelligence.
That's the only thing we see in the universe is that intelligent minds creating information in a sense.
You keep saying that, but like, what's the
I didn't-
justification for that view?
I just said that that's what we observe in nature is that intelligent
How do you
mind-
figure?
What do you mean, how do I figure? That's what we observe. Human beings.
So where in nature do we
create things.
observe? Look. So I agree that there's a lot of information that humans produce, right? But depending on how you categorize or how you define information, there's a lot of information that humans don't produce. So like, what do you make of that?
I wouldn't say there's a lot of information. Any information that isn't produced would
Like,
would
what
make
counts as
sense
information
that
in
an
your view?
intelligent being would make that.
No, but see,
It
now
makes
you're
no
just
sense.
assuming the thing that you want to prove.
But it's evidence.
You can't
though.
assume.
It's a
Look,
logical
Alfie,
conclusion.
Alfie,
And it's just
I'm
one
trying
of
to be
many
Alfie.
arguments.
Alfie, I'm trying to be
Yeah, go ahead.
super charitable to you here. So, look,
No, you
the
guys
argument
are
you're trying
not.
to give, the point that you're trying to give, or the argument that you're trying to make is, look, there is information requires intelligence. There is information in our universe that, let me back up. You're
Yeah, I
saying
think
information
you've
requires
explained it.
intelligence. Our DNA is information. Therefore, there must be an
No.
intelligence that created our DNA. That's roughly your argument.
The
Now,
DNA
the point
thing
is,
was
and
not
look,
the
and
end
you,
of it.
like you can point to any other example if you want, but like the point is you're pointing to information in the human body or something like that. And you're saying that must have been created by something intelligent, right?
I'm saying information exists, and I think that's where the disconnect
Okay,
is.
can you give an example of information
And
aside from human life?
There's an interesting scripture that.
Okay, I was trying to be charitable with you. I don't know why you don't want to
Let me
engage.
just mention this one scripture that I think is
Dodge number
relevant
50.
to- Sure.
Yeah, tell us about the scripture as though it has meaning. I can't wait for this. Alf?
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Literally
Oh,
10
you gotta
seconds.
go look it up.
The exact words, yes. It talks about the unseen qualities of existence pointing to God and there being no
Are you thinking of
excuse.
Romans 1?
You can, yeah,
Yeah, Romans 120.
1.
I knew where it
What about
was.
it?
I just wanted to read it verbatim.
Yeah, we don't think it's true. Yeah, we don't think
Yeah.
that looking at the trees
Well,
leads
just-
you to
of
God.
course, of
So
course
it's a
you-
It's
useless.
actually way worse than
Because
that.
the Bible says
Yeah.
so. I would never
In fact,
argue that. I'm
the
just
more we
saying that
study
it's
the world around us,
peculiar.
it looks like God doesn't
It's
exist,
pretty
which
kinda
means that
peculiar
verse
that
is
the
just
Bible says
wrong
that.
right on the face of it.
Yeah.
Say it again?
If the argument is that the truth of God is plain for everyone to see, then this is actually a disproof of God.
No, not at
You know, if the
all. I'm
Bible
saying
is
that it's
true, then everyone
peculiar
would just
that
be
the
able to
Bible
know
says
that God
that.
exists by looking around us, but we're not able to know that. Therefore,
No,
God
that's
wouldn't
not
exist.
what it says. It's saying that the
Sure.
unseen aspects of existence are evidence for God. That's basically what it's saying.
We disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's peculiar that
It's
it's
not
in there.
peculiar. It's a cope.
Yes, it
They had
is
the same.
from
They had the same
fif-
cope that you had. They believe that
thousands
there
of
was an
years
unseen
ago.
God, and we don't believe there's an unseen God.
That it
Yes,
still applies
that's what
today.
people actually believe. That believe in imaginary friends. You believe in unseen entities. We don't.
No, that's very different. We're talking about order, consciousness, minds.
No, we're
These
not.
are unseen things that cannot be looked at under a microscope, yet we know exist.
So to be
That's
clear,
my point.
order absolutely can be studied. We can talk about things like we can quantify complexity, we can quantify
You can't
entropy, we
look
can
at order
quantify
under a
enthalpy.
microscope, though.
We can absolutely study the, well, presumably by under a
You can observe
microscope, you
the
mean you can't
concept.
study it, you can't do science to it, right?
Exactly.
You can do science to them, though. Like, that's one of the whole businesses of thermodynamics is doing that.
Order. You can observe it and
You
label
absolutely
it as
can.
order.
And you can study its formation, you can study the conditions in which it arises, you can study, or you can make predictions about when it will arise and how. You can do all sorts of science to it, absolutely. You can
that's
quantify
not
it even.
looking at order.
So presumably by order you mean something like probably low entropy states, and that's absolutely the scientific concept.
Like everything, even the universe itself, the fact that things are round and, are placed where they are. I mean, in a sense, that's
Oh
order
boy,
itself.
that's just gravity. All right.
Yeah,
Listen,
saying
Alvin,
it's
it was
gravity
great to
doesn't
have
explain
you up here, but you don't
its
actually have an
existence.
argument. You just got like a bunch of incredulity, and unfortunately, a
No,
mountain of incredulity
it
doesn't
was
make a
logic.
molehill of an argument.
I have a
You don't
big
have
old
logic.
curly
But I
Q.
appreciate you guys.
Big old
Yeah, I'm
all
sure you
good.
sticking
do.
out.
All right, have a good one. Okay. Let me grab some super chats. We'll get our next guest in here. Marilyn, great to see you today. Thank you for the $5 super chat. It says,
I'll be right back.
Justin is God. And Marilyn, you know we don't believe in God. These Christians deny God every day. Actually, if I'm God, then they literally are denying God. But as we've already previously discussed, I don't believe in any God. Certainly not myself. And Steve, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, watching today with huge grace. We're having a great time. Well, thank you, Steve. Actually, we're having a great time as well. We're glad you're here, friend. Michael, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, is there be an issue with our senses as a container being our foundational bedrock, missing one or more of these, limiting human experience as evidence?
I don't know why it would be.
I
I think the
don't see it,
of this.
I don't know what that sentence meant.
I think he's trying to ask, like, is like our perception like sufficient for justification or like understanding? Well, if it wasn't, then you couldn't understand that it wasn't. So it's I mean, in that sense, we would probably say that it's like self-defeating to deny something like that.
Yeah. Neck2, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says they think if only they weren't being interrupted a little less, then they could easily demonstrate their God. So it's your fault somehow. That's what it is. They were on the road to glory, and we just interrupted them. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good-
I
good
apologize
point.
for being a sick fuck.
That's our fault. Handsome Cat, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, have you guys considered the idea of space-time and warped space are ideas that reify concepts like space and time into physical objects to try and explain observed phenomenon but are irrational?
Yeah, flat earthers like to say this a lot. But look, making the claim that these are not physical things, when they have when at least according to our very physical models, they have physical effects on things, and they can be affected by physical things, it's, in my view, it's just as unjustified to say that these are merely concepts and not physical things, as it is to say that they are indeed physical things and not just concepts. Like, it just seems like that the claim of reification is really a claim that's trying to shift the burden of proof, right? Like, this is in some sense neutral. So you can't say, oh, you have the burden of proof to show that they're physical. Like, no, this is perhaps 50-50 split or something like that. And, it's just as justified to say that they're real as to say that they're merely concepts.
Indeed. And before we go any further, I just want to let everyone on TikTok know that YouTube beat you already. They cracked 1,000 concurrent viewers. TikTok's lagging. We need to get some action over there, friends. Gretchen, thank you for the super chat. Says Alfie's sending us around the Googled bunkers bend.
It's Google debunkers, by the way.
Well, this is all one word. I didn't know. Google.
I know. It's pronounced Google debunkers. It was coined by Philip Zeba, actually.
Google debunker makes a lot more sense, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. The internet sleuths. Lou, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, question for Justin. Since the earth is round in the rapture, will people in the northern hemisphere go up to heaven, and those in the southern, aka Australia, will go down to heaven? Praise Sharon. Good question. Well, we don't know where heaven's going to be. Like, theoretically, we assume it's going to be the New Jerusalem, which means, like, if you're in Australia, I think you kind of get to go, like, in a diagonal path over there. If you're in America, yeah, it's complicated. But as far as we can tell, if there's like north, south, east, and west, we would have to make it somehow in relation to Jerusalem and the sun and the moon. So yeah, they would have to float around, or they would just get stuck on the bottom. Obviously, then they
know
would never
how
get...
like there are those ring cities in science fiction, where there's like a ring that goes like around a planet and it's like all one city. What if heaven is like, what if the New Jerusalem is just like a sphere city that just surrounds the earth? So all you have to do is go up.
That could work. And they've got a tram to get you from the southern hemisphere to the northern, obviously.
Yeah,
Good
I mean,
question.
like it's heavenly train, if you will.
House, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, Justin, the name Alfie gave you is accidentally the most or more fitting than he thought. Destruction. I know. Actually, I get called that a few times. LOL, keep destroying them, buddy. Well, thank you, House. And it looked, I think Ian was doing a pretty good job destroying them on that call. I was enjoying to watch.
Yeah, apparently people are saying that he answered the question. I must have just like completely missed it.
I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it either.
Yeah. Laser said, this $2 is really just a concept. It's a concept of $2. We agreed. Thank you so much for that. It doesn't actually exist. Don't worry. And Adam, good to see you. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, why do the Jews say in John 18:31 that they aren't allowed to put anyone to death when the Torah allows it? Is John trying to spin the narrative? Okay, so it depends because the Jewish people were technically allowed to put people to death according to the Torah, but it depends on what crime they were being put to death for. If they're trying to be put to death for a crime against the Roman government, then the Romans had to do it. And it seems a little bit divided in the New Testament if they were making actual Roman accusations, like the claim of having another king would be a treason. So it's hard. The Gospels are unfortunately a little bit contradictory on how and why they prosecuted the crime. It could just be blasphemy, but it also seems like they were trying to pin some sort of Roman offense on him as well. Chili, thank you for the super chat, says, do we have the same evidence for Santa Claus than we do for God? And I think so. Listen, I woke up on Sunday, on Christmas morning, and the cookies and milk were gone. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. There's the empty tomb, and then there's the cookies and milk, both missing. Space Lord says,
there's no frost giants.
There's none. Guest, your lack of evidence isn't our problem. Couldn't agree more. And Kerwin, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, says, it's sad that the information called was so confused. The discussion of what information is and its properties is really interesting. That's the problem. The definition of information has multiple forms, which is why it's not a great argument to run with. Last one from Miss Pickles. Good to see you, Mrs. Pickles. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, if Christians are supposed to have a new body in the New Jerusalem, does that body also defecate? I think it will. Who is tasked with building a plumbing system in heaven? Good point. Well,
that would be poop real.
Poop realism?
No, it's poop real. There's Gabriel.
Yeah,
poop
real. Yeah, you're right. That's who it is. Yeah. So I mean, theoretically,
explaining the joke makes it funnier. By the way,
it's often been said. Yeah.
People aren't going to live in heaven. That's a misnomer. It's not really in the Bible. There's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, and they're going to live on the earth. It's just that the stuff that's living in heaven that can't come down to the earth because the earth is a shithole will actually come down to the earth. So God will dwell on the earth with mankind when there's a new heaven, new earth. It's not that we're going up to heaven to dwell in the skies with God. That's not the case. Okay, let me grab our next guest, and they've been waiting for a while, and I got to say the name doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence, but let's get Troller Coaster 23 in the box.
I thought we were bringing up someone else.
He dropped. Jesus Warrior
Oh,
left
bummer.
like a coward.
Okay.
Yeah, he turned tail.
That's what it was. Troller Coaster, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and yourself?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. Troller Coaster, are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
I am absolutely over 18, and I absolutely believe in God.
Okay. Is it a particular God?
Well, it would be like the first cause. The first cause is what I would believe in. But there's 2 points I would like to make, and if you can help me understand this second point, that would me and the audience, it would help so much. So my first point. We've talked before and you've broken this down, but I'll just repeat it just to bring the point back up. I believe in God because I'm here today. So let's say I rewind the clock 1 billion years. I wait 1 billion years and then I'm here. So let's say I rewind the clock 100 billion years. Fine, I wait 100 billion years and then I'm here. But the argument you all were making was that, well, what if existence always existed? And so then I made the statement, well, then I could never be here because you would have to rewind the clock infinitely. I would infinitely be waiting for, and that's the point you said, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I
It's
still
because
can't.
you're trying to put yourself in a point that doesn't exist. You're saying if I start at infinity, I'll never get to here, but infinity is not a starting point.
Oh, I think what he's saying is something like slightly different than that. I think that what he's saying is that he's confused as to why. Are you saying like why did you not exist like 1 billion years ago? Is that what you're asking?
Well, no, I believe in God.
Sure,
because
maybe just me. You might have understood it correctly. It might be me fucking up.
No, it's
No.
okay.
You both are making great points, but that's why I said I want to bring up 2 points because this point's kind of super vague. So that's the main point. I believe in God because I'm here today, and if I could rewind the clock infinitely from today, then I would never get to today. But
would.
I can make a yes.
I don't
Why
know
would
what
you
that
not?
means. What does it mean, rewind the clock infinitely?
He's
Well,
using the if you start
I'm
at the
trying to-
beginning
I'm
of
trying to
infinity, you
understand
can't
it.
get to today argument. He's doing it wrong.
I know. I'm just pressing him on it.
Okay, sure.
Oh well, no,
What do you-
please ask because when you press it,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
makes me
So
think.
what do you mean by wind the clock back infinitely?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's possible that the universe always exists in its own way, maybe
Sure.
not this current form. Okay,
Sure,
So-
absolutely.
so 13.8 billion years ago, if you rewind the clock 13.8 billion years, that'll be our beginning, and it makes
Well,
sense
that
to
would be
me.
like when the
No.
Big Bang happened, but maybe there was
the
stuff
Big
before
Bang,
that.
yeah, the beginning of our
Yeah,
universe.
sure.
So you wait 13.8 billion years, and boom, here we are having this conversation.
Absolutely.
The thing that's hard for me to wrap my head around is, well, how do we get to 13.8 billion years if that clock can be rewound infinitely? But I would like to.
What do you mean by rewind the clock infinitely? You keep saying that. I want to know what you mean by that.
Okay. So I'm here now. We're here.
Yeah.
We're having this conversation now. This conversation exists now. Okay. So for this conversation to exist now, yesterday had to have happened,
Yep,
and then the day before that had to have happened.
absolutely.
Okay. So there's finite times, that leads to this point. But if I can go
So-
back infinitely.
So, what do you mean go back infinitely? Infinity isn't a number. It's not a number of days that you can go back.
For any point that you wind it back to, there will be a finite distance between that point and today.
You can go back a
but-
billion years, a trillion years, a quadrillion years. It'll still always be finite. There is no amount that you can wind the clock back where it will take an infinite amount of time to get back to here.
Okay. I don't understand that, but I'll bring up the second point.
Okay, so maybe I can clarify. You're treating infinity like it's a number of days that you can wind the clock back. Infinity is
Well,
not a
no.
number.
I know it's not a number, and that's the part that I'm having issue wrapping my head around. If existence always exists, therefore there's no need for a God because existence always
Mm-hmm.
existed. Well, then how do we get to today if the
From
days
when?
that
From when?
exactly that's my
No,
point.
no,
Well,
don't
that's what
don't
we're
say
asking you.
exactly.
Today from
Troller.
when?
Troller, when we say it takes XYZ amount of time to get to today, what we mean is there is a certain amount of time between last week and today. There are, 7 days between last week and today.
Okay.
What time, when you're asking how long would it take to get to today, from when? What's the starting point that you're referring to?
Okay,
Because
got
any
you.
starting point you choose
Okay.
will always have a finite amount of time between it.
You broke it down. Okay, and my answer would be from the first cause.
But if the
We don't
universe has
believe in
always
first
existed,
cause.
there isn't a first
That
cause.
and that's my problem.
But what's the problem with that?
The problem
if
is that your view isn't our view. You're just saying like the problem with your view is that it's not what I believe. That's great, but that's not a problem for my view.
No, I'm not saying it's what I do or
So
don't believe.
you haven't articulated the problem yet.
Okay, well then I'll move on to my second point because I think it's
Okay.
more it's
So
clearer.
Troller, let me help you out because I know the problem you have. You just can't articulate. The problem you have is you think that if you start at infinity, you'll never get to today because there's an infinite amount of time between the beginning of infinity and today. But there's no beginning to infinity. You can't start at infinity. Any starting point you could ever imagine is a finite point on the timeline. You're saying like, what's the smell of blue? There is no smell of blue. It's a category error. You can't do it.
Roughly what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, well, look, if the universe has always existed, that just means that the first moment of the universe was infinite time ago. But that's a mistake. To say the universe has always existed does mean that there is no finite number of days that the universe has existed. And it does mean that the universe has existed for, quote, an infinite number of days. But it doesn't mean that the start of the universe was infinitely long ago. There is no start to an eternal universe, right?
Okay, fair. That's fine. I somewhat understand that. That's fine. I would like to make the second point, and
Sure.
this. I know you guys probably like, hey, we got stuff to do, but I think it would help me so much if someone can physically help me understand this. And I've given this example before. I'll give it again. So right now, we'll say it's 0 o'clock, and in 1 minute it will be 1 o'clock. Well, what I struggle with this is because before you get to I'm sorry, in 1 minute it'll be it's 1 o'clock now, and in 1 minute it'll be 1:01. So
Yes.
okay, so something that I struggle with. Okay, so the space between 1 o'clock and 1:01. Well, before you get to 1 o'clock, there's point zero zero. There's also point zero zero one. There's point zero 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 one. There's point zero zero
Mm-hmm.
zero 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 one. There's an infinite amount of spaces in between those two numbers. Now, you guys did try to break. You guys did try to break this down to me, and I went back and tried to find this video because you pointed something out. But
So you're
issue
using
is-
the
my
wrong
issue-
word, by the way.
Okay.
You're saying there's an infinite amount of distance between like 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. That's not the case. There's an infinite amount of ways to divide it.
Yes,
It's still a finite
yes.
amount of time. It's not an
Perhaps there's an
amount
infinite number of
time.
moments.
Well, you guys were actually
So
starting to break it down
to be
last
sure,
time.
so like if I shoot an arrow between me
Mm-hmm.
and my wall, I can divide that space an infinite
Yes.
number of times,
Yes.
but it's still a finite distance. So the fact that you can divide something a finite amount has nothing to do with whether or not you can get from point A to point B. Like, so right now, my hand is in front of the camera. I'm going to move closer to my camera. Did I just move infinity?
No, you moved a finite distance.
That's right. Okay. Even though I could divide that distance by an infinity number of times.
Yes.
Okay. So dividing something by infinity is not the same as traversing infinity.
And that is something that I have a hard time understanding. Now, last time Ian brought it up. He said, "Well, let me introduce you to Isaac Newton," and he also he brought up the workings of that. He Is there any way you guys can physically show how these infinites are being resolved? Because clearly we go from
What
1
needs to
o'clock.
be
Oh,
resolved
like
about 'em?
calculus?
Yeah, yes, it was calculus, and you brought something up, and I went back to watch the video so I can research how to deal with infinites, but I couldn't find the video, and that's why I came back again to either have you guys show, to explain,
Yeah,
hey,
so-
okay.
Look, there's kind of two resolutions here, or perhaps three. So first of all, it could be that you can't infinitely subdivide things, right? It could be that the universe is kind of like on a grid, and so there is a smallest distance, there's a smallest time. I'm not sure I buy that, but that's at least logically possible. The second option is that perhaps even though the universe isn't on a grid, because of quantum uncertainty, things can never be localized to a finite size or to an infinitesimally small size. So things always take up some finite amount of room, and so there's always things exist for a finite amount of time. Things take up finite amount of spaces, and so there's always like some width to things, even if space itself and time itself is not that way. The third way is just assume everything is continuous, assume that there is no discrete grid, assume that quantum mechanics isn't true for whatever reason. Then you can still even just appeal to calculus. And the way to see this is, think about if you're moving at like 5 miles an hour, right? You can go 5 miles in 1 hour, or you can go 2.5 miles in half an hour, or you can go 1.25 miles in a quarter of an hour, or you can go 0.675 miles in an eighth of an hour. And the point is that even if you subdivide the space between you and the end of the room infinitely, and you might say, how am I going to cross an infinitely large number of points? Well,
yes.
If you're going at a finite speed, 5 miles an hour, 2 meters per second, whatever it is, then the amount of time it takes to cross that infinitesimal amount of time is also infinitesimal. So you're right, you would cross an infinitesimal or an infinite number of infinitesimal points, but you only spend an infinitesimal amount of time at each point. And so by the end of it, you're right, you are crossing an infinite number of places. It just takes a finite amount of time because you're adding up an infinite number of infinitesimals. Now, in order to make sure that you understand what's actually happening here, it does require understanding calculus. Like, this is the foundation of calculus, and that's why it took so long for it to develop. This was, something that came about in the late 1600s, and humans had been toying with this idea for a few thousand years by that point. So it's perhaps not intuitive, but at least like the conception is there. Like, it's something that's been pretty well understood for the last 300 years.
Okay, and is there can you tell me the specific title within calculus that calculus covers? You brought it up before you said it. You were like, hey, you need to look at this, and I
so
went back
you could
to watch.
you could look up. I mean, the general idea is called integration, but you could probably look up like calculus like, I'm just gonna double check that if I Google this, it'll get the same answer. I imagine that. Yeah, if you look up like calculus resolution of Zeno's paradox, you'll probably find some useful stuff to read.
I would like to get a pen and paper. I'm going to write that down, and then I will let you. Is this a pen? Oh, no, it's a pencil, and it doesn't have any lead. I don't want to hold you up too long. 1 second. Because I would love to physically look into this myself and decode how Isaac Newton resolved this. Like, that's just incredible. To resolve infinites is incredible, and I know he did it. So, but I just don't understand.
So to be clear, have you taken a calculus course?
No, I have not.
So it's going to be tricky then, because the intuition comes from calculus. So
okay.
What you could do, I mean, like, you could just go get, like, there are books, and I say this with love in my heart. There are books called Calculus for Dummies and stuff, like, like introductory books. Go pick up a book like that, read the first few chapters, and you'll probably at least get some better intuition.
So you think I should start there first?
Yeah, otherwise you're not going to understand how, like, if you don't have the intuition for calculus, you're not going to understand how calculus resolves the issue.
Okay, fair enough. No, fair enough. That way I can understand what I'm viewing. All right. So what was that you said I should look up?
You could just like any introductory textbook on calculus or any introductory book on calculus.
You
will
said
do the
Zeno's
same thing.
paradox or something.
Oh, Zeno's paradox. Yeah, so Zeno's paradox is the thing that you're referring to. So look up Zeno's paradox.
Title?
It's not a book name. It's just a search term.
Clip.
So I just searched calculus resolution of Zeno's paradox.
Calculus resolution of Z. Can you spell Xenos? Zeno?
Zeno. Yeah.
Zeno's paradox?
Yep.
Oh, this is awesome. I can't wait to look. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to look into this and I'm going to get calculus for dummies. And once I can resolve infinities for myself, once I do grow that foundation and understanding, then I myself may become an atheist because then I will have a better understanding of how things could exist within infinities. Because that's the part I'm struggling with.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Well,
pretty cool.
Big W.
Troller,
All
thanks
right.
for being
Thank you,
here.
guys. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers,
Have a good
buddy.
one.
Later.
Well, I was wrong. He wasn't a troll.
That was
And
super
I,
good faith, actually. At least at the
yeah.
end, it was.
Actually, I kind of liked the discussion with him. That was good. Steve, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says the Blue Angels are physical and they are information. Oh no, they are information. Well,
I feel like I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
information no longer has a definition.
Gotcha.
Herbie, thank you so much for the $5 super chat or £5 super. Is that pounds? Pound super chat.
Great
I've
British
just-
pounds, yes.
Oh, it's a specific pound. Great British
GBP.
pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
I've just started watching and I'm catching up with Speedy Playback. That's a good tool. Have a super chat. Oh, wow. First caller is a peach. Well, thank you so much, Herbie. Good to see you here. Glad you made it over to the stream. It's going to be a hell of a day. There's streams going all day long today. Well, because it's Sunday. And Deborah Grace, great to see you, friend. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, if the sons of God came down and took women and the church is called the bride, then when God comes and the temple descends, what's the plan? Well, we know what happens when you consummate. It's going to be something. I don't know how. I don't know, like, if he's into bukkake. I don't really know how it's supposed to work, like with the numbers in general, how that's going to pan out. But well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. The rapture never happened, so unfortunately, we don't really know yet. We're still waiting. But my understanding is there's a new rapture prediction for this month, so maybe we'll find out still yet. We'll have a Thanksgiving rapture. I would be thankful. Okay, let's grab sea bass.
Beep 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 beep. Isn't
How
that
you
that
doing,
one?
Seabass?
Isn't that the song that refers to?
So
I
it
only
depends
know
on
that from
how
the
old you
meme.
are. Yeah, if you're old like me, then sea bass refers to Dumb and Dumber.
Okay. No, I could be wrong. What am I thinking of?
No, you're thinking of the right thing, at least something closely related. It's like
Okay.
sea something. Anyway. Seabass,
Sure.
how's it going?
How you guys doing today?
Good, how you
You're
doing?
doing all right.
I'm doing good as well. I've just been playing some video games, letting the live kick by.
Is
Nice.
Seabass short for Sebastian, or is there another name?
Yeah, it's short for Sebastian, yeah. My
Okay.
friends call me Seabass.
So Seabass, are you at least 18 and do you believe in God?
Yeah, I'm 20, and I do believe in God.
Okay. Is it a particular God?
It is a particular God, but I'd say it's more subjective because it's my belief, so I can't go into that. But for a non-specific God, I can talk about, more easily. Like I'm more.
Okay. So you're a Christian,
to
but you don't
talk
have an
about that.
argument for Christianity?
I do. It's more personal and it's a lot more in depth.
Fair enough. So what's your argument for generic God?
So my argument for generic God is the fine-tuning of everything. The speed of light, the distance from us to the planets,
Oh no.
Rip
the
Dr.
gravity. I'm being for like the fine-tuning
you're
of
good,
just
you're good, keep
everything. The cosmos, the formation of galaxies, universes, stars, all of it. The fine-tuning,
Okay.
the small parts, the fine-tuning, the things that we
Yeah,
can't
sure.
see.
So can you
But it's
establish
still
that it is indeed
quantifiable.
fine-tuned?
It's still quantifiable. Like you could quantify the speed of light. You can quantify the gravitational pull. But it's
So can you establish that it actually is fine-tuned?
I mean, you could establish that by the way things are ordered, the way things are.
So-
you're observing it.
Seabass, it sounds like what you're telling me is that you woke up and there was, a pile of money in front of you. And you're like, that pile of money just must have spontaneously appeared here. And that's the only explanation that you're offering, rather than considering, well, there could be other explanations for why the world
Or
is the
could
way,
you
or for why
say
the money
that
is
that
there.
money came from? But I don't think that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the fine tuning is because there has to be a first cause of everything for everything else to
Why?
exist.
That's not true. Like, I don't know why that has to be the case.
So give an example of something that doesn't have a first cause.
Well, look, so I can just say the universe.
The universe doesn't have a first cause?
Well, yeah, if I assume my worldview, then the universe doesn't have a first cause. If you assume
And
your
what's the
worldview, then it does.
evidence? What's the evidence that something physical and material does not have a first cause?
So just to be clear, the claim that you made was that everything has a first cause. You made the claim that everything has a first cause. And then I gave you an example of something that doesn't obviously not have a first cause, doesn't obviously have a first cause. And so if your claim is that everything has a first cause, you have to be able to show that every example I come up with actually does have a first cause,
So
right?
is the
Or you
Big
need to
Bang
provide an
not the
argument.
first cause of...
No, I wouldn't say so. You have
So
to
what
be
do you
able to give an
believe is the-
argument.
So what do you believe?
I don't
is the
think that
first
I
cause?
don't think that there is a first cause. In fact, I'm a causal anti-realist, if you will. But the point stands. Even if you're not a causal anti-realist, you don't have to think that there's a first cause.
So you believe that the universe is infinite?
Not necessarily. It's complicated, but the point stands. Can you establish that everything needs a first cause?
Everything in this physical world, yes. The fact that you exist.
Okay, well then I'm
first...
glad we agree. The universe is not in this physical world.
And what? Wait, okay. So how do you separate the universe as an entity when it's within itself?
What does it mean to be within itself?
It's physicality. The universe is it's like you're saying that the universe is a separate entity that has no first
You're saying
cause.
that the universe is
Anything
the universe is the container. It contains all physical things, but it's totally consistent to say that the universe itself is not within the universe. That
But you're
would
still
be kind of
using like a
confused.
physical example. You're calling it a container, and a container is physical, and
Yeah, I mean it's also conceptual.
which is like it doesn't really show like a strong evidence towards that it is. It does
Look,
not have a first
you
cause.
made a claim. You made a claim that everything requires a first cause.
Yes.
And so I'm just asking you to either demonstrate that by providing an argument, or at least give a proof that the particular example I gave does have a first cause.
Of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that it's the fine tuning, the specific equations of everything that exists.
Okay, so now we're
about
back
the
to fine
universe.
tuning. So are we doing
Yeah,
a fine
because
tuning argument,
it's
or
the-
like a causal, or like
the
a cosmological
same
causal
way-
argument?
The same way an engineer constructs something, they make the schematics, they measure and they quantify everything is the same way the universe is made. It's been quantified.
So can you establish that our universe is the way it is because it was intended to be that way? That's the
Our
question that you
universe
have.
is
That's
way it
that's
is
the point that
because
you
it
have to
was intended
establish.
To be that way. Yes, it was intended to be that way.
Okay, I'm asking you to establish that. Provide an argument for it. Provide evidence for that. Something.
Provide evidence for the way that our universe is established.
No.
Is intended to be.
Well, provide evidence for the claim that our universe is the way it is because it was intended to be that way.
But I already just gave you one. The same way someone.
You gave me an analogy.
But it's kind of the same way you're comparing the universe to a container. You know, it's like I'm giving you.
Right. So look, the point is I can grant that the analogy is true for, like a computer or something, and I just be like, yeah, our universe isn't that.
It's even more complex. Exactly. So
I don't care about complexity. I don't see how complexity means anything.
I think complexity does signify even more because the fact that even us as humans, we can't even fully go.
Look, okay, so let's just get this straight. Do you have a way of proving that there isn't just an infinite multiverse where each multiverse has a different constant in it, and therefore we find ourselves in a universe that is fine-tuned for life, even though it's merely resolved by anthropic reasoning?
Do I have evidence for that? No, I don't.
Do you have evidence against that proposal? Do you have reason to think that proposal is false? Some justification?
I wouldn't say it's false because there's no
Right.
really
So
way.
then it seems
That's more
like the
metaphysical.
fine tuning
That's the
argument
thing
is
that's
at best
dimensional
the fine tuning
things.
argument gets you to either a multiverse or a god. So it seems like that it's not really evidence for God at all.
The thing with a multiverse is that that's more, I guess you could say, metaphysical, since you're going into like a bunch of, I don't even want to say sci-fi because people have talked about it a lot, dimensions. But I don't know if you guys believe. I don't know if you believe in that. If there's many dimensions in our universe that exist.
I don't know what that
I
has
don't
to do with it.
personally
Look,
believe in
look.
that.
The point is if your claim is that the fine tuning argument gives evidence for God, and I say it gives equally good evidence for a multiverse, and a multiverse is compatible with atheism, then it seems like that the fine tuning argument doesn't actually give us any reason to prefer theism over atheism.
Okay, I see. So so you're saying the fine tuning because you can't compel it to any, like, you can't say exactly it was God or it was just some million different dimensions that just perfectly found the right one to exist in, right? Is that what you're saying?
Look, so if our universe, if we exist in a multiverse with a whole bunch of different universes, perhaps infinitely many universes,
Yeah.
then, and those universes all have different constants, then of course we were going to find ourselves in one of them that has the right constants, because if the constants were wrong, then we wouldn't exist. We can only find ourselves in a universe with the right constants. And so there's just nothing surprising about our existence, about the particular values of these constants, given that we exist in a multiverse.
Okay.
So, and a multiverse is completely compatible with an atheistic worldview, an atheistic position. So it just seems like that even the simplest argument against fine tuning, it just seems like it kind of dismantles the entire argument. Like it just doesn't give you reason to prefer theism over atheism.
Okay, I see what you're saying. But I still don't see how, okay, so you said it can either point to God or to a multi-dimensional universe. But
I didn't say dimensional. I said a multiverse. And by the way, there are a whole bunch of
Multiverse.
other reasons for thinking that the fine tuning argument is bad. I just wanted to get through this argument quickly because it's one that we've heard a million times. But that's
I'm
neither here
just
nor
still
there.
trying to grasp my head around like the argument. But I just don't understand why you would say like something so specific unless, like, what is the first, okay, that's what I'm trying to understand is what do you believe? Like, you believe the universe had no beginning, right?
I don't think that the universe has causes. I also don't think that it
does
had
have a beginning?
well.
But does the
It
universe
could
have a beginning?
if by a beginning you mean like a first moment of time, that's at least possible. It's at least conceivable that it has a first moment of time.
Does the universe exist outside of time?
It's conceptually, it's conceivable that there was a state of affairs that the universe was in where it was timeless. Yeah, that's conceivable.
But how can you have something but no time to put it in? You exist. You understand what I'm
it would
saying?
be it would be
this guy believes in
static.
God, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
No, I'm
Does-
talking about
does
something
God exist in
physical.
time?
I'm talking about something physical, not something non-physical. God is non-physical. God exists outside of time. So there's no moment. He's always existed. That's what I'm trying to point towards the universe. He's
Wait,
trying
you're
to
a
say
Christian?
Yes, I'm Christian.
Bible doesn't say God doesn't have physical appearance.
Oh no,
It
that's
says he has a
that's
body.
different. That's different. That's different. That's different.
Mm,
God is.
I'm sure.
God
Right,
is
yeah, you
still
want to argue for the God
flesh
that
and
you
the
don't believe
spirit.
in, just to be sure. Okay. You said you were a Christian.
Yes, I am.
Okay, just to be sure, you don't believe in a God that's non-physical.
I do believe in a God that's not.
Oh,
That's
so you're not a
physical.
Christian. Okay.
It's the duality.
Yeah, you don't have to be a
It's
Christian.
something that's deeper. That's something that's deeper.
It's both physical and non-physical.
God, that's the thing. You guys are placing limits on God. You don't know. You guys are using your
We're also
mind.
using
Oh, this
your
is going
beliefs.
so well.
It's just a question. Is he both physical and non-physical? You can say no.
No, I'm saying yes. He is both physical and non-physical.
Oh.
That's a contradiction.
Yeah.
If you
It's
mean
not
physical
really-
and non-physical
And
in the
why is
same
it a
sense, then yeah, it's a
contradiction? Why is it a
contradiction.
contradiction?
Well,
So
because
a
a thing is non-physical if it is not physical, And so we have something that has the predicate physical, and it also has the predicate not physical. And that means that it has two contradictory predicates.
You
Why
can't
are
be
but
a
why are
thing
you
and then the
limiting?
negation of that thing at the same time.
Okay, so you're saying the human body, when it dies, it doesn't go from a physicality to a non-physicality?
It's still
Your
physical.
consciousness to body.
No, it's still physical. Everything that's in my body is physical, and it will
Your
remain
consciousness,
physical
your thoughts
forever.
in your brain, your
Your
dreams in your brain
consciousness
are physical,
is not
buddy.
something that's non-physical. It's part of your body.
Yeah, it
So
just doesn't
your
exist
dreams,
anymore.
are your dreams physical or are they non-physical?
They happen in your brain, so yeah, they're physical.
They're a physical, yeah, sure. You could say chemical reaction, all this heebie-jeebie nonsense stuff. But nobody can go into your mind and see what you're looking at, what you're viewing.
That's not true.
But they
Not
actually
something that's
can.
physical.
We
They
actually
can
do
do
The
that
thoughts
now.
in your head, the images.
We've been doing
you
it for a long
create,
time, actually.
It's not physical. I don't see how you could say that
It is
something
physical.
that's
That's why we could put electrodes on your brain and know what you're thinking about.
I don't really think you could do that, but okay.
We literally have been doing it for like 2.5, maybe 3 decades now.
You
Like,
said
So
using
in fact,
what?
I'm looking at something right now. This is a headline on sci.news. Study: signals from visual areas of human brain can reveal colors observer is seeing.
But I just don't see how that points to it being physical.
Yeah.
It's happening in your physical brain.
I'm just having a hard time trying to grasp like around like how something that's
So
literally
when
not
we
physical,
see,
you
when
could
you're
claim it
looking
to be
at
physical.
blue,
Just because it's happening within your brain doesn't mean that it has physicality. Your brain has physicality.
You know what would be helpful? Can you define for us what you mean by physical?
Material, like it's has atoms, it has mass, it has.
Is light physical?
Yes, light is physical.
It's not made of it doesn't have mass. It's
Well,
not
doesn't
made
have
of
mass
atoms.
matter, but it's still something physical. It's
So what? So then give me a definition of physical that's necessary and sufficient.
it's quantifiable. Physical is something that's quantifiable.
I'm sorry, can we wait, are numbers quantifiable?
Yes.
So are numbers physical?
Not the number itself, because a number.
But the
is a
number is
representation.
quantifiable.
Yeah, because it's a representation of a group of.
I'm not
things.
talking about like
you
the
have-
symbol that you write on a chalkboard. I'm talking about like the conceptual numbers themselves. Are those things quantifiable?
Like you're talking about not the literal symbol itself, but just the concept of
The
numbers.
concept of the number, the concept of the number 12, is it quantifiable?
I would say so. Yeah.
So then, and
Why would it
that means
not be
under your
quantifiable?
definition, numbers are physical because they're quantifiable.
Okay, so they're physical. What are you trying to go on?
Well, if numbers are physical and yet they're concepts, well, I don't see why minds can't be physical. Numbers seem far more abstract than minds are.
But is the concept physical?
You just agreed that the concept of numbers is physical because they're quantifiable. By the way, we can also quantify minds. We can count them, for example. 1 mind, 2 mind, 3 mind. We just quantified minds.
I might be 3/4.
Fair.
Well,
I have half a mind to even change the topic of... Oh, what did I just say? Half a mind? We can quantify minds. So minds are physical. Thoughts are physical. We can count thoughts. Doesn't seem like it's a good definition of physical if you want to exclude things like dreams and thoughts. So look,
I do see where you're going.
so Seabass, so Seabass, I don't mean to be like harsh and like, you know,
don't
grill
worry.
you. There is a fundamental problem of defining what makes something physical. Like this is actually an issue. Now you could come up with just a number and you could just say, look, or you could just come up with some specific definition and just stick with it and just say everything that fits it is physical, everything that doesn't fit it isn't physical. But we have this intuition about what kinds of things should be physical, what kinds of things aren't. And there's not like some well-defined, rigorous way to categorize these things. It's just kind of an intuition that we have. And so I wouldn't I wouldn't say things like, oh, well, you know, physical things have to be this way and God's not physical, so God doesn't have to be that way. Like, you need some other criterion unless you can give a strong definition of physical.
Yeah, I understand. The thing is that I'm trying to what I'm trying to show is that there are things that you can't really, like, you said numbers as a concept. Like, what if we were to erase everything? Like, the symbol of a number could be something else. Like 12 could be,
Sure, I'm not talking about the symbol. I'm talking about the concept.
You know, we have times, ruins, like, there's just the different representatives of the symbol. Like, math will always be eternal in a sense. 12 might not look the same way.
Well, that's contested, but the point is, I understand what you're saying.
But you get
but
what
the
I'm
point
saying.
is,
Like,
the definition that you gave is consistent with numbers, with math being physical, which you don't want to say. So you need some other way of distinguishing between God's properties and the properties of, like, you and me and, like, the chair and the cactus outside. And you need some way to distinguish between it besides just saying, oh, one's physical and one's not, because you're going to have a hard time determining what physical actually means in order to make your argument work.
In nature,
Like,
in the universe, that are in.
So look, we got here because it sounded like you were saying that God is both physical and not physical. And that, with any definition of the word physical, regardless of how you define it, that's a true contradiction, right? That's like a genuine, real contradiction that you're proposing is true.
But you don't think you could go from physical to non-physical? Is that not how many?
You can't be both physical and non-physical at the same time.
In the same way, yeah.
Okay,
It'd be like saying you're both blue and not blue in the same way.
Your argument is that Jesus can't be God because he would technically have to be non-physical with his divine factor and physical with his human factor, right?
He could be partially physical and partially non-physical, I suppose.
Yeah, he can be two parts, but that's also a heresy
just can't
that
be
was
both.
condemned by the earliest church councils.
He can't be physical and non-physical in the same way.
Okay, I understand. But so you guys do agree on the non-physicality to physical. Like, you think that something non-physical could come to physical?
I'm actually not even sure what physical means at this point. I'm not sure if there's a good working definition.
Example, like you before you were a baby, like did you even?
To be sure, I think the working definition for normal folks like me who didn't take physics classes like Dr. Blitz is anything that takes up space-time we would consider physical. Is that agreeable,
Or like
Sebastian?
maybe like follows laws of physics.
Yeah, well, Justin, is the universe physical then? Huh? The universe doesn't take up space-time, you Neanderthal.
Fucking obliterated it.
That's a different type of definition.
All right, guys, I'll see you next week. I'm done. I'm cooked.
Gotta go put some ice on that burn.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd he go?
Hello. Sorry.
Welcome back.
Yeah, but there are different definitions of physical. I had to Google that one.
Yeah, and none of them are good.
I had to Google that one. Yeah, no, it's not really specific. It's not a good way to understand what physicality is. But I do agree that I don't think that Jesus was non-physical and physical at the same time. But do you believe that you existed before you were born?
No.
It depends on what you mean by
believe that at the
exist.
time
So,
that your
Sebastian,
parents-
I think you're asking the wrong question, because all the atoms that make up our bodies did exist somewhere else. Like, everything that we're made of did exist. It's just the current configuration didn't exist.
I mean, yeah, not the configuration, but I'm talking about that spark, that mysterious spark of your conscious, your unique print of yourself, meaning that all those atoms existed beforehand, but in
the
the right
configuration.
configuration, it created you.
Yeah, the configuration
So
didn't exist.
that non-physical.
Just like prior to making this coffee mug, this configuration of atoms didn't exist either. But all the stuff that this was made out of always existed.
Existed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's still something physical coming into, I guess, a different physicality.
That's what I'm saying is we are made of physical objects that existed prior to our current configuration.
But could you attribute anything non-physical to us, like our minds?
wouldn't.
Like our minds are physical, but can you say that the things that come within them are physical? Like the concepts
I
and the
think-
ideas that we have made?
I don't
Like, we
believe in
use
any
our-
non-physical things.
You
I don't believe
okay.
there's anything non-physical happening inside my body.
Okay, all right. That's just what I want to understand. That's where I separate it, because I do believe that we have not a non-physical part of ourselves, but we have things that you can't really say they're physical.
Well, again, we don't agree on that.
Yeah, that's where I would have to say we don't agree as well.
Okay.
But look, suppose that there are. Oh, did you want to move on, Justin?
I think so. We've got a lot of people queued up right now. We've got like almost 15
Okay.
people waiting.
All right, that sounds fine. Seabass, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
thank
man,
you guys so
appreciate
much
talking
for
to
listening to me jabber on. Have a good day, guys.
You're okay. Cheers, man.
Ian's busy away typing.
I'm getting fucking exposed.
Yeah, we can all
Let's
see
grab,
it.
Some chats
Yeah.
here. Carlos, thank you for sending out not one, but two unapologetic gifted memberships. We appreciate that. We did open up memberships this last week to the YouTube channel for anyone who wants to be a member and get emojis. We haven't opened up memberships on TikTok yet. I'm sorry, I haven't got around to it, but we will, friends. But if you have emoji suggestions for the memberships, let us know. We'll make sure that we get them added up. Sansabark, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says, I wish I had the time to leave you a super chat telling you what a good job you're doing. Maybe next time. Cheers. Well, thank you, Sansabark, and we appreciate you not having the time to leave us a super chat. Big W, friend. And we've also got one from Botho Guy. Thank you so much. Says the universe is only fine-tuned for black holes. That may or may not
Well,
be
yeah,
true.
that's kind of true. It's very weird, but it is. Arguably, it's true. I mean, like, our universe. Sorry, let me start over. So we are very, very early in the universe. If our universe is going to expand forever, we're very, very early, right? We're 13.8 billion years into, forever. So very, very early. And if you just look at what the physics says will happen, assuming that the universe will expand forever, which maybe it won't, eventually all that'll be left, in 100 billion years or maybe even 1 trillion years, I think the last stars are set to burn out in like 1 trillion years or something like this. And all that'll be left will be like lumps of rock and black holes. And even the lumps of rock, again, depends on what the physics is doing, but even the lumps of rock will eventually just become part of black holes. And so for the vast majority of the universe's existence, at least up until all of the black holes evaporate away, which will take 10 to the 100 years or something like this, it'll just be black holes in our universe. That'll be it. Life will have existed for the first fraction of a moment of the universe's existence. So yeah, in some sense, you could say the universe is fine-tuned for black holes. Hope not, though.
Yeah. SSSS. Thank you for the $5 super chat. It says, have you heard of the Promised Land 2025 mockumentary comedy of Exodus story, free on YouTube? Interesting attempt by Christians to stay relevant. I've seen.
I have.
Snippets.
It's funny. It's
was
funny.
funny.
It's actually funny.
It is a little bit poking fun at the self.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually not sure. I really hope it was made by Jewish people, because otherwise it's probably kind of like messed up.
Yeah.
But it is really
I think
funny.
you're right. Discordant Rhyme, thank you for the $6.99. It says, I possess limitless personal incredulity. Checkmate, atheists. There you go. We got it.
Yeah, I just don't believe. Yeah.
No, that's got to be checkmate theist, because you've just proved infinities. If you've got limitless incredulity. Good to hear from you. And Aaron Leeds, thank you for gifting out 20. Read them out huge. 20 unapologetic gifted membership. That is huge,
That's
my
enormous.
friend. Thank you so much, Aaron. Big W. Huge W, actually. Thank you. All right. Next in line, I think, was DDD Oh No. And then we'll grab Silver Fox after that. How you doing, Dono?
All good. How are you guys?
Doing well, thanks for asking. Dono, do you believe in God, and are you at least 18?
Yes, I'm 29. I believe in God.
Okay. Which one?
Pretty much the Christian one.
Okay. And what would be the best evidence or argument for the Christian God existing?
So, like, God is described as a perfect being or something, perfection, perfect entity, and then perfection can be described as what is whole. So,
Yeah, like what's
it's
complete.
like, yeah, so like the whole universe, everything included, like, is just part of that wholeness.
Do you think the Holocaust was perfect?
No.
Is the Holocaust in the universe?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a bit confused. If the universe is perfect, do you not think everything inside of the universe is perfect, or?
Well, it's just the included part is what makes it perfect.
I'm confused as to what you're saying.
It's just, it doesn't, like, the universe does not lack the Holocaust. It's part of the universe, so it's like...
And it's good that it doesn't lack the Holocaust, is what you're saying.
Would the
It's
universe
not
still be
exactly.
perfect? Would the universe be imperfect if it lacked the Holocaust, but perfect if it had it?
Yeah, right? I guess it would just be an idea at that point, but that would just be the whole universe at that point.
It's kind of a strange thing to say.
It's just like... everything's here, so it's the whole thing. That's what God is. And then it's just like, I guess it comes down to like, did a mind create the universe, right? So
I don't know how we're moving off of the whole like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It would be imperfect if it didn't include the Holocaust. I don't know how we're getting off that one.
It's just like we're identifying something in the whole that is imperfect, but the whole thing is still perfect.
So like,
It's
would
still
you
all there.
say that? So, what's your name? Didodono. Love saying that, by the way. Let's say that you know, your finger is gangrenous. Maybe you got frostbite and then it remelted and it became gangrenous. Would you say that you are in perfect health?
No.
But it's just a part of the whole.
Yeah, but it's like a subset almost. Like the umbrella term is it's whole and perfect, and underneath that is just the imperfections that we identify.
Yeah. And so similarly, as our health wouldn't be perfect if we have a gangrenous finger, I don't know how you could say that the universe is perfect if it has a Holocaust in it.
Yeah, it's not good, but it's like it's just still all there. Like, I don't know if I'm...
Well, yeah, we agree that it's there. How does that make it perfect?
Yeah, well, we're certainly not going to deny it, but
it's just the whole thing. Like, you can have like you can have a whole cake, and then some of it is probably like rotten.
And does that make the whole cake perfect? If like there's like a little bit of rotten cake in there?
It's just we can identify it's all there. That's
okay.
The
So when you
bottom
say
line.
perfect, you just mean the universe exists.
It's not that it exists. It's just that it's just all there with everything else. It's just
so. When you say it's all there, what does that mean besides it exists?
It's just interacting with everything, but existence is more of a property, I think. Like,
oh, that's debated.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, like, you can assert that if you want. Look, all I'm saying is that it seems like I don't know what you mean by perfect, I guess, besides just it exists.
It doesn't lack any of these things. Like, it has these...
But there's a lot of things that it lacks. For example, it lacks Holocaust 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh my god. Well,
right? It does lack that. Being run by Mecha Hitler. Like
I mean, we have the idea of that. So it has that, but it lacks...
Well, nobody did before I said it just now.
Right. And we're still in the whole universe, like...
So is it enough for the idea of something to exist in order for it to be considered whole and perfect? Because I would much rather just the idea of the Holocaust existed and not the actual Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like you can see a tree grow and it has some imperfections, and it'd be better if it didn't have that, but it's still all there and it's still
So the
growing.
universe
So
could have been better in your view.
it still is. It's not created yet. Like, it's still in creation. Like, the universe is expanding. So I kind of
But could the universe have been better?
it. I think we're still doing it. I think it's still getting better.
Well, no, I mean like could
The
so
past.
some things have already happened. Could
Yeah.
those things have been better?
I think so. I think we can.
So you're telling me that God made things, the perfect creator, by the way, made
Right.
things that weren't as good as they could have been?
It's like a. I guess it's like a condensation of all that stuff. Like,
I don't know what that means.
yeah, it's like I'm not gonna blame my body for getting cancer.
You
So it's
should,
like-
because it's your body's fault. Unless you were smoking, then it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still your body's fault. Unless
Right.
you were
It's a
with near
different part-
somebody who
it's-
is smoking. Yeah,
It's just a different part of your body's fault.
But like for example, if you were married to a smoker or something like that, or if one of your parents is a smoker and you got lung cancer, then maybe you could blame them. But like, yeah, generally you can blame your body for getting cancer because it's your body's fault.
Yeah. Lazy
But
fuck.
now I can find some solutions, right? Go to the doctor, pray, I guess.
Praying's not the solution you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just do everything. Whatever's on the table that could help me, possibly.
But would the universe still be perfect if you didn't have cancer?
Yes, just by definition with that wholeness.
So, okay, sure. So the universe will be perfect no matter what state it's in?
Yeah.
Then perfection just doesn't fucking mean anything.
Yeah, it's like a...
The world could just be like infants getting funneled into like a meat grinder for infinity, and that would be perfect.
No, we can identify that. It's just like... there's multiple definitions for perfection.
I thought that you said that all it needs, the one and only like qualifier for being perfect is just that it's like the way the universe is.
Yeah, so... It's more of just, it's all there, and then the way it is, we can describe as imperfect or bad and stuff.
So it's perfect, but it's like imperfect.
I mean, we as humans can describe it as imperfect, but it's just in its whole state.
Would you describe the universe as both perfect and imperfect?
No.
Which one would you describe it as?
Perfect.
Okay. Do you think that there's like any way to make the universe better?
Well, like, it would just always be like we can improve Earth and stuff, but then it would just
Granted.
like, yeah. So like
So it's
historically,
perfect,
right.
but there are some imperfections.
The universe is perfect, and so far that's a whole thing that's together with everything else, whatever. And then we have things that happen inside of the universe that are imperfect, specifically localized on Earth.
Okay, so it's a perfect thing with imperfections.
That, yeah. It's made up of it's made of whole things, imperfect things, whatever, but they're all just whole. Like, they're all interacting with each other.
I
Don't
take
know,
that
buddy.
to be. Yeah.
Have you used this argument with anyone before? Is this your first time running this one?
My second, maybe third.
Listen, I can see why you would think that this was a valid argument, but this might not be your best work. I think you can do better. You're not a dumb person, but this is not a good argument.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You keep running into contradictions with it. You know what I mean?
I don't think they're contradictions. I think I lack the cohesive speaking ability.
When you're saying that you have like a perfect thing with imperfections, it's absolutely a contradiction.
It's just like the words are the same word, but they're different definitions. So effectively different words.
So I think the actual problem that you're going to run into is that literally nobody uses perfect to mean what you're using it to mean.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect typically means like a thing that couldn't be improved upon. At least along like some metric, it couldn't be improved upon. It's like it's the ideal amount. So for example, we would say like the perfect bowling game is, and then I don't know if there's a max
300.
score to
The number is
bowling.
300.
Yeah, the perfect bowling game is 300. You literally can't get higher than that. But you know, I think that that's how people typically use the word perfect.
Yeah.
So if you want to use it in a different way, it's just going to be confusing more than anything.
That's a good point. That's all I had, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, everyone.
Thanks for being here, Didadono.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you.
All right,
Cheers,
guys.
friend.
Also, that is just fun to say.
It kind of is. Yeah. Let me grab, I think we've got a couple super chats, or maybe we don't.
And then I think Silver Fox is up next.
I don't think we have any super chats, but William, thank you for all the hand hearts on TikTok. Super appreciate that, friend. And I think we have Silver Fox waiting again, so we're going to grab Silver Fox from the guest queue on YouTube. How you doing, Silver Fox?
How are you?
Doing great. Thanks
Doing all
for
right.
asking.
Silver, I'm a believer in. Sorry, I'm a believer in Christianity. I believe one true God, and I'm 32. I believe that there is evidence to, but ultimately it comes down to a personal choice. That if you want to believe in God, that it is, no one can choose for you, but I do believe that there is a lot of evidence too. Biblical wise, we have the eyewitness accounts, we have archaeological evidence. Even science, I believe, kind of points us in the direction towards a divine creator.
Sure. Who are the eyewitnesses?
So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We go to the Gospels for the eyewitness accounts.
So Mark is the earliest, right?
Yes, I believe 60 AD. So
about 70. But who is Mark?
Yeah. So they were all apostles of Jesus Christ, and we look to them.
Mark was not an apostle. Mark was the brother or the cousin of Barnabas.
Right.
Right.
So I'm not like a full expert on this. So yeah, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Thank you. But they do account for Jesus' life and like what he said, what he did. And so as Christians, we look to Jesus's life and what he did and what he said, and whether or not we believe him to be accountable or credible in his claims of divinity.
Well, I don't think we even know what he said. So first of all, Mark wasn't a witness to anything. He wasn't around. He wasn't a disciple, wasn't an apostle. And Matthew and Luke both copy a great deal of Mark. It's clear that their literary work is dependent on Mark, which means they had to write after Mark. And Luke is obviously not an apostle. He's just collecting stories and evidences from other people, he says in chapter 1. Matthew is another case. There actually was a disciple named Matthew, but I actually don't believe that Matthew wrote Matthew for a lot of reasons. One, because like he copies his conversion story directly from Mark rather than telling it himself, which is a weird thing to do if you're the one that was in the story. Number two, like none of our gospel manuscripts actually have names in the earliest editions. Those are added later by church history. So somebody at some point decided that Mark or Matthew wrote Matthew, but I have no reason to believe it. Our earliest document, which is P1, doesn't have attribution on it from Matthew.
So I'm trying to. Sorry, I have like my notes and stuff. I know we have Simon, who is also known as Peter, Andrew, James, son of Zebedee, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew, and James.
Those are disciples?
Yes. So those are the disciples, and they basically kind of say we saw Jesus, we lived with him, we saw what he did, and so they're using the eyewitness
But where did
accounts.
they say that?
Um,
Because we don't have writings from the disciples. The best you can point
we
to
have,
is maybe the book of First Peter, and I'm not even convinced Peter
well, we
wrote
have,
First Peter. But if he did, it's kind of weird that he kind of left out the whole story.
we gathered the gospels basically from over like the 5,000 manuscripts, like the Dead Sea Scrolls,
The Dead Sea Scrolls are
and
just Old Testament.
yes, which the Old Testament gives credibility to the New Testament.
I don't think
And
so.
which,
I think they contradict each other. I think the New Testament was entirely dependent on a version of the Greek Old Testament. They had no idea what was in the Hebrew Old Testament, and there's contradictions galore between the two testaments. Like whether or not you should follow the law is a huge contradiction, and even Jesus says that he didn't come to abolish the law. And Paul turns around in Ephesians chapter 2 and says Jesus did abolish the law.
Jesus said that he came to not abolish the law, but to fulfill the law. So when, as Christians, we talk about the laws being that the only ones that are really counted for is the ones that Jesus proclaims in the New Testament, which are the 10 Commandments.
Oh, he didn't say
And
that in the New Testament?
I'm pretty sure.
No.
But
He says to follow the law every time it comes up. In fact, in Matthew, the one that you mentioned, he says, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets." That doesn't mean he didn't come to abolish it. He says, "I've come not to abolish, but to fulfill." So fulfill can't mean abolish. Fulfill is obviously the opposite of abolish, which means to actually do the commandments, which is why he says, "Truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass away from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven." And it says, whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So that means if you tell people not to follow the law, you're going to be least in the kingdom of heaven.
Right. So then it like comes down to like the morality questions. Well, if we've broken these laws, then surely no one would be allowed into heaven. So then how would there be? Well, it says that the qualifications for heaven is perfection, but
No, it's not. It's not in the Hebrew Bible anywhere.
All right. Find my notes on this then. I'm sorry, I'm scattered brain today.
It's all right.
But I mean, if it comes down to it, if the qualifications for heaven is to abide by these laws, and no one can completely abide by these laws, then who would be allowed into heaven?
Well, that's
if
not
that was,
in the. Again, that's a contradiction. The Hebrew Bible says you can follow the law, and it names specific people who can. Even the New Testament says that Zechariah and Elizabeth were perfect regarding all the commands of the law in Luke chapter 1. And God himself in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11, says, "Surely this commandment that I'm commanding you today is not too hard for you, nor is it too far away." So the God who gave the laws said the opposite.
well, I know a lot of like the main Christian belief is that Jesus came to provide a way outside the laws, because we go to the moment on the cross where there was the two thieves with him. One thief was mocking Jesus on the cross, saying, "If you are God, show us a miracle, take yourself off the cross." And the other thief was like, "We deserve this as punishment, but he is without sin, he does not," and asked Jesus to remember his name. That is kind of like the pinnacle of one who follows the law, one who does not. And in the end, basically, it's the rejection of Jesus and what he's doing on the cross, whether or not the thieves go with him to heaven or if they go to hell and punishment. So when
but
that gives
going
us
to hell and heaven has nothing to do with following the law.
Right. But like, we're sinful people. We've fallen. We're not going to be able to follow all these laws.
You don't have to.
Exactly.
So
So
I think you're
Jesus,
missing the point. There's no stipulation that says if you break one law you go to hell. That's not in the Hebrew Bible. It's not even in the New Testament until you get to Pauline theology. Jesus never didn't teach that.
well, from what I've read and what I've been taught is that basically, if you are with sin, you cannot be with God because He is purely
Why?
holy. Because He is holy, He
Well,
cannot be in the presence of evil
that's
and
just
of
not in the
sin.
Hebrew Bible. It's just not in there. That's something that Christians had to invent to justify Jesus' death.
Right. So the Christian belief all comes down to the resurrection of whether or not He did die and resurrect, if He was the Son of God, and if what He was saying is true. Because without Jesus, the laws and everything are perfectly fine and valuable, but with Jesus, everything changes, because instead
But it
of
doesn't.
following the laws, we now have a way to Christ, to God, through Jesus. And
No.
so, it,
You don't. Jesus said to follow the laws. Again, this is the contradiction I'm pointing out. Jesus said to follow the laws until heaven and earth pass away. His Father said to follow the laws forever. It's not until after Jesus died that people said, hey, maybe we don't want to follow these laws anymore. It's a contradiction.
it's not really contradictory because you're still supposed
Well,
to follow
we'll
the
try this
laws as
again.
Christians.
So again, we're not. I'm not asking you what do you have to do to go to heaven. Although Jesus does tell you have to follow the laws. I'm asking you, do you need to follow the laws? Should you follow them?
You should follow the laws, yes, but
Okay, so then
you
Paul was
follow the law.
wrong in Ephesians chapter 2 when Paul says the requirements of the law have been abolished. He is contradicting Jesus and Yahweh.
Well, no, because Jesus came to fulfill the laws. So
Fulfill
what He
doesn't mean
does is
abolish.
right, which like we're still supposed to follow the rules. We're supposed to try and basically be the better person to kind of be the Christian, but it doesn't. It's not getting rid of the laws altogether. It's
Okay,
there's
so
a
you should follow the
new
laws then.
covenant. You should follow the laws, yes,
Okay, so
but what
then
Jesus
we
does is
shouldn't
He
beat our slaves to death, only partially to death.
I can't quite fully comment on that because I'm not well versed in that part of the Bible. I've read it a few times.
Well,
But
yeah,
Jesus does say one point to a slave owner that he should forgive the slave of what he owes him and to treat him as a brother in Christ.
I think you're referring to the Epistle of Philemon, and that's a whole different story. Like he didn't say free slaves generally. He said, "Hey, this slave is more useful as a Christian helper to me. Now that he's a Christian, he's more useful to me. I want you to let him go so that he can come and help me." He didn't say that slavery was wrong. He didn't say that you should free your slaves. And if he did, he would be again. Paul would be contradicting the law. So, like, listen. If you think Paul was anti-slavery, all you're doing is revealing one more contradiction.
Um, like I said, I can't quite comment fully on the slavery one. I am not fully knowledgeable on that part. I'm still. I mean, you can study the Bible for a long time and all kinds of new things, but like, I mean, lots of people have been studying the Bible. I remember reading a thing that there's over 63,000 cross references all throughout the Bible.
There's not.
Um,
So I
I
know the data set you're referring to. I have it downloaded on my computer. They're considering names of places as cross-references. Like every time the word Jerusalem shows up, they count that as a cross-reference. That's a silly and meaningless data point. It's irrelevant.
if you think about it, though, this is a book that, like a lot of people like to claim this, is that it's been written over thousands of years with over 40
Nope.
authors, and they're just able
800.
to read, or 800. I'm kind of close. A few
It's
hundred
pretty
years.
close. Yeah.
I'm like, so we have. I mean, there's lots of evidence
And it's full
to.
of contradictions and lies, though.
But are they really contradicting?
Yeah,
Like,
I just showed you one. Yeah, Jesus says to follow the law. Paul says the law is abolished. Contradiction number one. Contradiction number two was you said that Paul was anti-slavery, which is, again, a contradiction to what Jesus and God taught. They said to follow the law. So that's another contradiction. I don't know. There's about a dozen contradictions in the first 2 chapters of Matthew alone. Matthew lists the genealogy of Jesus and leaves out 3 dudes and then says that there's 14 generations when there's actually 17 generations. And then another set of generations, he says there's 14 of them, and if you count them, there's actually only 13. Like page number 1, there's contradictions and errors like right out the gate.
Of course, these authors are like, they're missing some information, but other authors are then filling in other information.
No. There's no
Yeah.
filling information in Matthew's genealogy. Luke gives an
Mm.
entirely different genealogy. Luke traces the genealogy through Nathan, which is an entire different lineage. So he doesn't fix the problems in Matthew.
Trying to look at the lineages here.
Mhm.
Lineage. Sorry, my. Oh, okay. I'm gonna kind of ghost over this. I'll do some more research into that. But
Yeah,
you
so
know,
like the problem we have is just that the New Testament repeatedly says things that are not true. And I think the most egregious of them is that it constantly quotes Old Testament prophecies that are fulfilled in Jesus when none of them actually are. Jesus fulfilled exactly 0 messianic prophecies. So this idea that somehow he's a Trinity deity with Yahweh when he's not even the Messiah is crazy.
actually, I do remember that he doesn't fulfill like all of them, but he does fulfill quite a few prophecies, like where he was born, lineage. Yes.
0.
No, he
Name one
fulfills
that he fulfilled.
born in Bethlehem.
That's
He
Micah
was.
5:2. And what's it say about the person born in Bethlehem in Micah 5?
Let me look up. Sorry, I cannot
okay.
spell today.
It says, But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, who are of the little clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to rule in Israel, whose origin is from old, from ancient days. Now, Micah is not actually saying that the person's going to come from the city of Bethlehem. He's actually referring to the lineage of King David. Bethlehem and Ephrathah are the oldest ancestors in David's lineage. So what he's saying is from this tribal group is going to come a king just like David. And it says he's going to rule in Israel. But Jesus wasn't born from the loins of David's tribal group. He was adopted, and he was never a ruler in Israel. So he couldn't have fulfilled this.
Well, there is actually a lineage that shows that he does come from the lineage of David.
No.
And
he's adopted. Neither of the lineages go to Mary. They both go to Joseph.
And as he does state that his kingdom is not of this earth. So when they talk about a kingdom, that's where we get a huge division, is whether or not he was the king that they expected him to be, or if he is the king of the heavenly realm.
Well, he's definitely not that. The Messiah was never predicted to be a king of a heavenly realm. He's going to be a king in Israel.
Right. In which the Christians believe that in the second coming of Jesus Christ, that he will become the king of Israel in 1,000-year reign.
Well, then he didn't fulfill it. If he didn't do it yet, then he didn't do it.
Well, if you, I know there's like a type of linguistic reading that you would have to, I'm sorry, my brain is blanking.
It's okay, take your time. There's no rush. I realize this is a difficult conversation.
Oh yes, it is. It's a great discussion, and believe me, I love this kind of stuff. But I know when reading the Bible, there's different kinds of languages that we have to differ from, whether it's historical, poetry, prophecy, apocalyptic.
Like genre.
So when reading the Bible, you have to interpret it based on the type of genre that it is.
Agreed.
And so, like, I know, like, a lot of people say that there's contradictions, and like, I want to study more into the supposed contradictions, But when it comes to like the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I know they tend to fill in like key points and details based off of other things. Because I know, like, the tomb is often used as the main contradictory. Is there one angel? Is there three angels? Were you inside the tomb, outside the tomb? But it's kind of like if we eyewitnessed of an event in real life and we had three people in three different spots,
Yeah,
all
we know
kind
the
of
analogy.
collaborating the
Hmm.
same story.
Yeah, but if their information contradicts, it's still a contradiction. Like, so if somebody
Right.
says there was a car accident, and somebody says the car was blue, and another one says the car was gray, that's still a contradiction. It can't be blue and gray. Like, it's got to be one or the other. So it doesn't matter if you're having different perspectives. If the details
Right.
contradict, it's just a contradiction.
But with a
And
car
just to
accident,
fill in a gap here, like, imagine that we were in court, right, and you were trying to prosecute a murderer, right, and so then you bring up two witnesses to the murder, two alleged witnesses, and they say, oh yeah, I saw him stab her 6 times, and then the other one says, oh, I saw him shoot her. That's going to make them lose the case. They will lose because their stories aren't straight, right?
right. And which that case, like, if you have to have the full details of the story, like, how did she die? Was she stabbed to death or was she shot? And so if she was shot, then the story of which, hey, the guy that shot her, it would be
Yeah, but
a reliable eyewitness account. And I know, like,
that's
in the
great, except in the example of Jesus, we don't know what actually happened. So we can only rely on the supposed eyewitnesses, and that's the problem.
right, which though is
To
when
be fair,
something major.
I didn't bring up the angels at the tomb as a contradiction. I'm not sure why we're debating that right now.
I talked to someone who came up to me with that, and it just kind of popped into my head. But
Yeah.
with the eyewitnesses, though, it's very much like major events that happen in our lives. You could ask me where I was 2 weeks ago, and I could not tell you. But if you asked me where I was on 9/11, I could tell you in clear detail. I was in my 3rd grade classroom when the teacher turned on the TV and we saw the second tower crumbling. How can I remember that kind of evidence years later? Is because it was such an impactful
Yeah.
event.
Do you remember a conversation you had on that day? Do you remember anything beyond one sentence?
I remember talking that he was very much like the details with the tomb, how there was a discrepancy between the angels. It's like, well,
On
time has
9/11?
passed. Or
Oh,
9/11.
God, it
Sorry.
goes higher than we thought it did. It goes straight to the top.
I remember. Yeah,
So
on
on
9/11.
9/11, do you remember any full dialogues you had with somebody, like an entire conversation?
I do remember that my teacher said that the towers were hit by 2 separate planes, and that this was a major event that we should know that is happening. And the teacher told us that it is safe, that we were safe in the classroom because this was miles away from where we were at. And I remember the girl sitting next to me said, "That's very scary."
Yeah, but I'm talking like a whole speech, because the Bible is full of speeches that people remember Jesus wrote 30 years later, and to me that's incredibly dubious. I don't think people are sitting down to listen to Jesus' speech and then 30 years later recounting the entirety of them. It's kind of absurd to think about. But also,
There's
that's kind of off topic. I'm still intrigued on this contradiction topic. You want to see a really easy contradiction, like something that you're not going to find a good apologetic for?
Sure. I would love to look into it further.
Sure. Jeremiah says in 7:22, "In the day that I brought your ancestors out of the land of Egypt, I did not speak to them or command them concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices." But that's literally the first thing he did.
Okay, so Jeremiah, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And what book and passage is
Yeah,
that?
722.
722. Okay. Um, two. Right. See, I know Jeremiah is in the Old Testament, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I brought out ancestors. I did not give them commands about burnt offering and sacrifices. Okay, so two. I know that it is hard to get the full context when you're taking a single biblical verse. Because I know if you look at the times, the context, as well as the verses around them, I hear a lot of people take certain verses out of context and like you should not judge and stuff, but like I don't hear the full verse many of the times. So
Does
this
this statement require context? It's just a statement.
right.
So,
Well,
so
I would
God
say
says,
it does
"My
because
anger and my wrath shall be poured out on this place, on humans and animals, on the trees of the field and the fruit of the ground. It will burn and not be quenched. Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel. Add your burnt offerings to your sacrifices and eat the flesh. For in the day that I brought your ancestors out of the land of Egypt, I did not speak to them or command them concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices, but he did. He did command them concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices."
right. So that is false religions and well, I'm going to have to do further study on that, and it's a great thing to look over. Um,
Sure. And
I can, yeah,
there
and
are
like I
easy
said,
ones too. Like,
hmm,
so for example, Jesus says that no man has ascended into heaven except for the one who descended from heaven, the Son of Man, meaning himself. You
right.
understand that that's not true, right?
Well, as a Christian, I believe that he did descend from heaven and that he was born unto a virgin to become the perfect sacrifice for the people.
Yeah, but
Uh,
that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, was he the only one who ascended into heaven? Because he says no one has ascended into heaven except the one who descended from heaven. So how could that statement be true? I mean, we know that Enoch and Elijah both went to heaven.
they were brought up to heaven, but they did not ascend to heaven.
Oh, that's what ascend means, but you're actually not correct. It says in 2 Kings, it says, as they continued walking and talking, a chariot of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them, and Elijah ascended in a whirlwind into heaven.
Okay. I could not quite tell you on that, but I do believe that the only one that was truly worthy of heaven is Jesus, because
Why?
as
What'd he do?
humans, we were born into the sinful world of
So
the
was
fallen after
so
the
what?
event in Eden.
What's that got to do with
Uh,
Jesus being sinless? Jesus committed sins.
well,
He committed blasphemy.
he did not commit blasphemy if he is
Sure
truly
did.
the Son of God.
Well, he's not.
Uh,
You have yet to
well,
establish that.
well, not only during the time in Jesus' teaching was it punishable by death to be or punishable to be stoned to death for blasphemy, which he almost was stoned for saying that he is I am. Um, but Jesus, knowing this as a prophet, would not be claiming titles of divinity unless he was the Messiah. Or,
But
there,
I don't grant that he was a prophet. He was a false prophet.
uh, false prophet, I really don't believe, because many false prophets, their teachings either have to be spread under the sword or pretty much kind
No,
of just fizzle out.
no.
Um, Either that or you
Or
find a lot of
or they
weak
get
people
killed.
and yeah, they get killed.
And Jesus
And
got
which
killed. He got
Yes,
the
but
punishment.
he was killed according to prophecy.
No,
And
there's no prophecy that says the Messiah is going to die.
uh,
In fact, the
In fact,
prophecy
if I
says the exact
recall,
opposite.
yeah, doesn't the prophecy say something like he'll rule the kingdom of Israel or something like this?
Yeah, in
right.
fact, it says he's going to rule Israel and he's going to bring back Levitical sacrifices. It says, surely the days are coming, this is Jeremiah still, the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will fulfill the promise that I made to the house of Israel and to the house of Judah. In those days and at that time, I will cause a righteous branch to spring up for David, that's the Messiah, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. So that's a physical land. In those days, Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will live in safety. And the next verse says, thus saith the Lord, David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel. That's a physical throne in Israel. It says, and the Levitical priests, in the plural, shall never lack a man in my presence to offer burnt offerings, to make grain offerings, and to make sacrifices for all time. So when the Messiah comes, according to the Hebrew Bible, that dude's sitting on a physical throne in Israel, and there would be physical Levitical priests giving offerings and sacrifices in a physical temple.
All right. That I would say because Jesus is coming again, and that the second coming is the physical throne that he will sit upon in Israel and Jerusalem.
Right. So he didn't fulfill this
Because,
messianic prophecy.
yeah, there's many prophecies still yet to be fulfilled in the
But
Bible and are being
we
fulfilled currently.
we know
Uh,
that they're yet to be fulfilled. I want to know about the ones that have been fulfilled.
Many of which are actually, if I can pull up on my phone here real quick, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
We understand God's word is to be progressive. Oh shoot, my phone's about to die. I might get disconnected from you guys.
It's starting to freeze a little bit already. Your video stopped moving, but your audio still works.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm at like 1% here, so
It's okay. Well, Silver Fox, you're actually really nice, and it sounds like you're doing your best to work through some of these issues,
yeah.
and so we definitely applaud you for your calm demeanor and your ability to look at some of these difficult passages. And trust me, I've been in your shoes. I know that what you're experiencing is probably not the funnest thing you're going to experience today, but I think you're doing a really good job. And sure, battery died. She tried. I feel bad because I feel like her pastors and the Christians in her life like set her up for failure. You know what I mean? Because she's not dumb.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like the double-edged sword of apologetics, right? You know, your apologist sounds really cool. It's just that they're like a scumbag and they set you up for failure, right? Like when you try to run the argument, you're going to get like punched in the teeth.
Right. That happened to me once when I was like about to turn 21 and I was still on my Christianity might be true, and I went into a forum and said some apologetic shit, and they kicked the shit out of me. It was, and afterwards I was so embarrassed because like that was a terrible argument, but it took me getting my teeth kicked in before I realized that these are not good talking points, despite how many apologetic books I read them in. Let me grab a couple of super chats. We'll get our next guest, friends.
We have a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
Evan says, "I'm not an expert. I just take my soul on. I just take my soul on it." That sounds about right. And Bothell guy, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, "Y'all, I just fulfilled the law that says you have to buckle your kids up in the car. No one has to do it. Now it's been fulfilled. So dumb." Bothell, I love you for that.
So that's a
that was
great
my
example.
example from the earliest days, and I used it
Oh,
so
okay.
much I thought people got tired of it. That's why I stopped using it. But that was my go-to for the better part of a year, and it's still my favorite, by the way. Anyone can use it if you want to. It's the best one out there. Moral, thank you so much for the Rocky Rockstar. We appreciate that on TikTok. And welcome to the Real. It says maybe Jesus is a king like Donald Trump is a king. There, that's it. That's it.
I think you missed Evan Rock.
I just read it right here.
No. There's another Evan Rock below Bothell guy.
I haven't got that far yet.
Oh, I have a different order than you. That's weird.
Well, the polling might be off by a couple milliseconds from computer to computer.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just that Dr. Blitz slammed you at light speed earlier and you're still catching up via time dilation.
Well,
True.
but I did mix in the TikTok chat in mine too, so I've got the TikTok
Yeah.
and the YouTube mixed in. Evan, thank you for the $2 super chat though. It says, I'm reading Matthew and Mark, and a thief wasn't saved. So that's an interesting point. The only thief that was saved was the one that confessed their belief in Jesus, and you're right there. I think the big question on that story typically has been, will they be in paradise that day? Or is he saying, this day I'm telling you, you'll be in paradise with me? That's kind of been always the question, is where to put the comma. Discordant Rhyme, thank you for the $13.99 Canuck bucks. Says, reply, we are all sinners. Gish gallops and incoherent circular reasoning often obscure the fact that Christianity et al. Are hateful, anti-human religions. They're ideologies for tyrants and dictators. And that's actually a really interesting point, Discordant, because I think maybe the very first incarnation of Christianity might have been good meaning, but it turned to dictatorship right fucking at the beginning, like right after the Romans realized they could use it as a hammer on the people. It got turned into a hammer on the people. Dr. Fudge, great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Says, oh no, I'm cornered. Better start preaching. That is something that Christians do, and I'll never get it. I'll never understand why they think that's something that would go well for them here. And Design, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, give caller the I just believe it badge, and let's move on. Well, I think that's probably where she started, but based on what she was saying, it sounded to me like maybe she learned these talking points in a Bible study or at a church sermon, and she hadn't tested them yet. Like she didn't realize that they were not great talking points. That being said, that's all of our super chats for now. We're going to get our next guest, and right now, I hate to break it to everyone on TikTok, but YouTube is eating your lunch right now. We've got 11,000 or 1,100 people, 11,500 people on YouTube, and only 840 people on TikTok. Don't let YouTube beat you out. Don't let them win today. We're gonna get Ruger dude. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but we'll see.
Sometimes I wonder if we also, if people take the points that we make and then they go to places and then they get stomped with them. I don't know.
Oh, no, this happens a lot. And it's actually really bad.
Yeah. I think
so. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I think the bottom line is the way you get good at debate or debating this topic is not just by hearing a talking point and then running with it. I think you kind of have to understand, right? You got to do a lot of the reading, be it philosophy or Bible scholarship or physics. You have to be on the ground and you have to do the homework. It only works if you do the homework.
I agree. I think if you're just repeating the talking point, someone's going to catch you flat-footed and it's not going to turn out well. You have to kind of know the material.
Yeah.
Now, there is something to be said of low-stakes debates. Sorry. If just, run these debates on Discord servers, by all means, run these arguments. People will tell you why you're wrong. You'll get flabbergasted. You'll get befuddled. And then you'll get better at it, and you'll go back and be like, but why did this work when Ian said it? Then you'll go rewatch it, and then you'll think about it some more, and you'll be like, oh, I understand it now. And then you'll go and you'll run it in another Discord debate with another neckbeard, and then this time you won't get flabbergasted by that counter-argument.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that is the process. I think that it is. Ruger dude, welcome in. Are you at least 18? And do you believe in God? And how do we pronounce your name?
Ruger dude's correct.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Cool.
Though?
Yeah, do you believe in God?
18?
He's at least 18.
Okay.
So try not to get flabbergasted like you were just saying, because I'm not.
Oh, we were talking about atheists getting flabbergasted.
It's easy to do.
Are you an atheist?
No. I'm going to take Carl Jung's approach and say I don't just believe, I know. And I've been listening to you guys for about an hour plus now, I think. And you'd mentioned Jordan Peterson, and I kind of just wanted to start with that and see where that leads us.
Well, it's unclear that you're even the type of person we're looking for, because you think God exists, but it's an archetype, as some sort of like mythological background of like our psyche that helps us like categorize the world and like understand ourselves, right?
That's very close, and it might not be exactly what you're looking for, but the whole idea of deconstruction is kind of to transition more people to believe that God is real regardless. That's the archetype that I believe, and if I believe in God, then why shouldn't other people?
I'm very confused. But like, look, the point is if you think that this is like a concept rather than like some like real entity with like an actual ontology, whether physical, metaphysical, or otherwise, then that's compatible with atheism.
Okay, maybe I don't know how to word this correctly, but I do believe that there was a physical act that caused the story of the Bible.
Do you think that Jesus like actually resurrected? Do you think that he was in a cave for like 2.5 days and then like he got up and like the physical body that Jesus used to live in?
Not to the literalism that Christians.
So you don't think that Jesus
because-
resurrected? Okay.
Not to the lyricism that the Christianity provides, which I think is something that we can bridge between science, psychological, and religion.
So, I'm not sure where we want to take this. Maybe I could just give you like a critique of like Jung's understanding of religion, because in terms of religion, like he's just wrong about the way that our psyche works. He frames it as like a way for us to actualize like our ideal self, like a way to strive forward and like become better. But that is like just categorically incapable of accounting for a lot of Eastern religions, like Buddhism, for example, where in Buddhism, part of it, like basically the biggest part of it is like the overcoming of the illusion of a self. So the idea that this is like a form of self-actualization, well, that's just like contradictory.
I don't see how it's contradictory, actually. I think it's the whole point. You're trying to transcend the person that you're becoming, and you're using an archetype to do so.
They're trying to realize and come to an understanding that the self doesn't exist. How can it be that you're both self-actualizing and also the self doesn't exist?
Well, that's where consciousness comes in. And I was listening to your debate about consciousness earlier, and I can't remember exactly the whole where you guys were coming from on that, but
that just doesn't seem to resolve the contradiction.
You were talking about how consciousness and information were physical.
Sorry, wait, I need like a resolution to this. Otherwise, like I need you to acknowledge that either like you can't defend Jung's position or that it's wrong. We can't just like pivot away. This to me is like still an unresolved contradiction that Buddhists are like the core of Buddhism is to realize that the self is an illusion, that the self doesn't exist. But Carl Jung's view of religion is that religion is like a way of self-actualization. It's a way to become like a better.
It's trying to integrate the Buddhist. It's trying to integrate the Buddhist idea to be self-actualized. Yes.
They would reject this. The Buddhist would tell you no.
That would be the Buddhist's term. That's contradictory to Christianity.
Well, yeah, exactly. So then Carl Jung's project is just like straight up not universal, which means that he's wrong about our psyche because this doesn't account for the way that people interact with religion.
I don't think I understand what you're trying to get at there.
Yeah, that the Buddhist is not self-actualizing, they're like self-deleting.
Isn't their whole idea about life is suffering though? And wouldn't you want to find a way to self-delete?
Well, it's not. So I'm not saying like they're like taking their own lives.
That's the opposite. That's the opposite of self-actualizing Christianity.
Yeah, but Carl Jung's idea is that religion is all about self-actualization, but the Buddhist doesn't even believe in the self. So basically what Jung did is that he took like very westernized understandings of religion and then when you try to like cram like Eastern religions into it, like it simply doesn't fit. it's trying to fit like the square block into the circular hole, and it just doesn't go.
Well, didn't Da Vinci do that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The Vitruvian Man.
What a wacky pivot. I have absolutely no idea what this has to do with what I was saying. I'm not sure how this would respond at all.
Okay, well, let's just go back to what we were talking about. You were saying that Western ideas created by Jung don't fit into Eastern ideas.
That Jung's project is incapable of actually accounting for psyche, like religious psyche, because it is incapable of accounting for like Buddhist approaches to religion. Jung views it all as a project of self-actualization, whereas Buddhists reject the existence of the self in the first place. These things are just wholly incompatible.
So it sounds like I guess I can see the incompatibility because I can't fit the two together right now. However, it sounds like something similar to the barrier between physicality and non-physicality.
I don't think
Which
so.
is why
I
I pivoted
genuinely
to
no
that.
clue what that even means.
Well, the self. Okay, and I have to give the credit to my AI for bringing this to my attention. The consciousness is the only part of the body that has the potential to continue after death.
I have no idea why I would believe that.
I can't give you an exact reason why to believe that, but that would be faith.
So then it seems like there's kind of a problem of evidence. You know, the fact that you believe it because you want to just isn't evidence to me, or you for that matter.
Well, I never said I had solid evidence on the fact that consciousness continues after life, but that's part of Jung's whole idea.
Okay.
And I may not have a full understanding of everything Jung's gone through and what he understands, but that's part of his thesis is that there's what do they call it, the Akashic records.
No clue.
Yeah,
But-
it's the Akashic Records is like some conspiracy stuff, and it's generally pretty uninteresting.
Well, Ruger, thanks
Generally
for coming up
pretty
and having the chat
uninteresting.
with us. I think the conversation might have reached its conclusion, but it was interesting to listen to.
All right, I appreciate your time.
All right,
Yep,
cheers.
thanks for coming up.
Thanks for being here.
All right, Londro, thank you for the hat and mustache, and Bartholomew, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says caller is in fact getting flabbergasted, and that may actually be true. With eyes wide shut, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says zombies, they creep me out. Land of the Dead. I haven't seen that. I don't know the quote, but thank you anyways. Eyes wide shut. And Bear, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says you guys need to look up and down at each other like the Brady Bunch intro.
I mean, we could try, but it wouldn't be synced up, and we'd probably be pretty bad at it. Like,
Yeah. I've also never seen your boomer shows.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And asking 3 semi-autistic people on a screen to coordinate movement that's not the thing that you're gonna find successful. All right, let's get Will in the into the chat here. How you doing, William?
Will?
I'm all right. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing
Thanks
well.
for asking. William, are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
So yeah, I'm 27 years old, and I believe in pluralistic mysticism for the general God.
So you believe in multiple gods?
I believe that it all goes down to one root of mysticism, of the advancement of ego. I mean, Buddhism kind of touches on this. I think Christianity is just terrible piece of literature. To try and conceptualize God to man is also a very big stretch. The concept of God has been very confined down and polarized through modern religions that we see today. But yet, if we try and apply it to something else, like how Christians say, oh, well, what became before the Big Bang? That's also the view of a general God, not a polarized God that they're using.
Yeah, so are you saying that God is ego?
God would either be something that generally created from non-creation, or it is the ego of oneself to explain themselves being here.
If
So
my
it's-
ego is created, then God created. Sorry. Ian,
Well,
what were you gonna say?
I'm like
No,
super
your
unclear.
ego
Wait, so the
created
definition of God is like a disjunct, like it's either this thing or it's like this complete other thing?
It could be either one. I don't know which one you would want to use.
I'm
Which
just like
one do you
unclear.
believe?
Yeah, I'm just unclear
So,
that this
okay,
is like even how
so-
words function, I guess.
So for the conceptual, like conceit within oneself is through what we can see literature, like the Psalms and the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Bible or the Quran. We see these things as pieces of literature to try and polarize morality, to give it some conceptualization of why are we here. But yet, if you look at it from a scientific standpoint, if you're talking about a God, it would be something that had created from non-creation.
I don't see how that answers the question.
Yeah, I have no clue what you even believe
what
in.
What is God? How do you define God?
How would I define God? Something that has been through, basically your ego. Yeah, I would go with the first one, just
So
for
you're an
the sake of
atheist.
argument.
Cool. All right.
Welcome
to the club, buddy.
Not
you're
the
an
direct
atheist.
disbelief of God.
Well, that's not what atheism is. Atheism just means you don't believe in a God, and you believe in egos, and egos are part of the human function. So.
Yeah, but also with the not the pluralistic, word soup, the mysticism. It's always the evaporation of one's ego. I mean, everyone experiences mystic
Yeah, but
things, whether through
we don't-
meditation.
Yeah, we're not worried about egos. We're worried about God. So
Actually, I have a question.
Let you sort
Is-
out the
Fair.
results from your formula.
Is ego an illusion?
Yeah.
So God's an illusion?
Yeah.
Fuck. We agree.
So you're an
Illusions
atheist?
are not real.
Yeah. Welcome to the club, William.
Yeah, but also thoughts are real. So.
Okay.
The thought of God is real.
Okay.
So
when we're talking,
Well, I feel like we've arrived at the conclusion.
Yeah.
When
All right,
we're
thanks,
talking
William.
about if.
Okay. Well, that was something. I
It's
would never
not that we
understand atheists
dislike-
pretending to not be atheists.
It's not that we dislike mystic people or spiritual people. It's that they don't know what they believe generally, or at least
Yeah.
the ones that we talk to don't know what they believe. And if they do know what they believe, it's just not what people mean when they say God.
Yeah.
They just believe in a different thing, right?
Okay. I think that I've actually this has convinced me. I actually think like the idea in spiritualism that's super common, especially in like Buddhist or like that sort of spiritualism, the idea that you're like the concept just can't be like clearly communicated in language. You need to come to it via like some experience. I'm actually growing like increasingly black-pilled on this, that it's like maybe just like completely pointless to talk to people like this, because like a core part of their belief is that like the nature of reality just can't be communicated. And at that point, like there's just no point in talking about it.
Usually it requires psychedelics. Anyway.
Yeah. But
we have a super
considered
chat and
that
then we should.
the traditional archetype is transcendent of the essence of self-knowledge?
I haven't. I'm starting to consider it now.
We do have
All right.
one from Game.
Yeah.
Game
Go
Master, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, "Oh dang, 3 cooks at the grill, a trinity of debunking. Let's go. Rock hard for Doug. Sinfully wet for Sharon. And yeah, we do have the unholy trinity up here today, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Let's grab. It looks like Juan is already up. Juan, welcome into the chat. Are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Yeah, I'm 41, and I'm a Christian.
Cool. What would be the most compelling evidence or argument for the Christian God being real?
Um, well, I've been listening to you guys for a long time, for like weeks now, and I find what you're doing compelling in a lot of ways because it has led me to look deeper into what I believe and why I believe it. And so I think in some ways when I hear people go on the live and they start talking about scripture, well, you have a lot of knowledge in scripture, probably more than most Christians do, because you seemingly are able to pull up and counter argue a lot of what they are trying to explain through scripture. So I don't think scripture is going to work. But I also don't think that personal experience works either because I can't quantify that for you guys. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is there, aside from God appearing in front of you and saying, hey, I'm real, would you ever accept the idea that God does exist? Or even if that occurred, would you say that you had a psychedelic episode and it never happened? Do you see like how is it almost impossible to prove that God is real?
No. So, for example, like if all the prophecies of the Hebrew Bible came true, I'd fucking believe in that God right now, because those things couldn't. Yeah, they'd be breaking the laws of physics. They'd be doing all kinds of crazy stuff that aren't actually possible. If it happened, I would have no choice but to believe.
But would you couldn't find
or
some
if, for
fault
example,
in the writings?
Like if Jesus appeared in my living room, and then like I went and got my wife, and she could see him too, and then we got out our cell phones and like we recorded it, and it like he was appearing in our cell phone cameras, like yeah, I'd believe.
But then people would have to believe you, right? I mean,
yeah, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me convincing other people.
Mm-hmm.
But like you asked for ways that it could in principle be proven, and like that's one way. Jesus could just show up.
Okay, but that would be a personal experience. So wouldn't you naturally tell other people, hey, Jesus showed up in my living room? But
sure, and no one should believe me. Absolutely nobody should believe me. It's telling somebody about your own personal experience is like telling them about your dreams. Nobody cares.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
no, you're
something
absolutely
could be like
right.
really good evidence for you, but it's like no evidence for anybody else. Like if you spent like a week in the woods with Bigfoot, and you bonded and you had like deep, meaningful conversations, you're absolutely certain that he's real because you spent that time with him. You know, that's great. That's like very compelling to you. You telling me about your week with Bigfoot has no bearing on me whatsoever. I'm probably just going to disbelieve you unless you have like some good solid evidence.
And also this is beside the point. Like you could offer like some compelling like philosophical argument or some compelling scientific evidence or something, or just something compelling. It doesn't have to be scripture. It doesn't have to be personal experience. You just have to offer something.
Yeah, no, I totally
proof.
agree. I totally agree with you guys. And I guess what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is that like I don't think personally and from my personal experience that I could quantify why I believe in God to you guys. And it's it's really frustrating, but at the same time, it's opened me up to looking deeper into why do I actually believe what I believe. And I just, how do I want to say this? You made me, I think that what you're doing is good because people shouldn't just believe what they believe on a whim. And I feel like even me personally, you guys are almost challenging me to go out there, seek the truth, and whatever that truth is, come to that reality that I kind of have to accept it.
Juan, we appreciate that, and we appreciate you being here, but it doesn't sound like you actually want to give an argument. You just want to say that like it might be hard to give an argument, which is fair, but we are looking to have conversations with people who want to give arguments, so we are going to disconnect you. But thank you so much for being here, Juan. We do have another guest, if anybody wants to, well, we have a few guests on TikTok, but we also have a guest in the YouTube queue. Do you guys want to bring up a guest in the YouTube queue or on TikTok?
We'll grab one from YouTube.
Okay.
All right, let's grab Ben from our YouTube queue. How you doing, Ben?
Hey guys, nice to meet you. I wanted to it might seem like I'm trying to trick you here, but like just if you could follow me. I'm Catholic, and the Catholic definition of God would be the ground of existence. So he's not a being, he is being on a most fundamental level, which I think you find in the name of God, the Tetragrammaton, which means I am who am. And I would think that.
So, what's the argument for this being true?
So if that is how God is defined, I think we would all agree. And you can question that definition, but then if you were to say, does the ground of existence exist? I think that you would recognize that that's kind of absurd.
So Ben, we would probably all agree that things exist. Unless you're like some sort of global nihilist or global skeptic or something like that. But the question is whether or not the ground of this existence, like whatever grounds this existence, if there even is a ground, perhaps there's not, and perhaps we can make sense of that. But if there is a ground, the question is, what is the nature of that thing, right? Is the nature pure mathematics? Is it mathematical objects via Platonism? Is it a thing with a mind, which is, I guess, typically the Catholic understanding? Is it, some dude in his basement who's programming a simulation? Like we need to then establish what kinds of things are compatible with being the ground of the existence as we know it.
Yeah. The divine essence is quite a bit more than simply the ground of all of existence.
Okay, but if you say the Catholic understanding is that God is a thing, which maybe you didn't mean, but that of course is not true. God is not
a thing just being a thing just being an object in the universe of discourse is what I mean.
Yeah, that's not how Catholics view God.
Okay, so then it just doesn't exist, right? Like things.
Well, I just
things
told
are
you
that which exists.
I told you, and I'm not trying to be tricky. This is like orthodox, and this is an orthodox like understanding. Thomas Aquinas, like straightforward. The definition of God is that God is the ground of existence. So you can say like, I don't really think that's the definition of God, or I don't agree with that. But if that is the definition, if you accept that definition, that you would have to say that of course there has to be a ground of existence.
But
now you could say, well, does that match up to the Bible? But you would.
But we don't believe in the God, so obviously we don't believe in the definition of God.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what you mean. If you forget that I'm Catholic, but I define God.
You
as
can't define
that
things into existence. I
I'm
can
so sorry.
define the
Yeah.
life-granting unicorn. Does it make the life-granting unicorn exist?
Yeah. So the
Well,
problem
okay,
is, we just got to get clear on the definition. Our claim is that God doesn't exist. Our definition for God is going to be specifically a person, a mind that created the universe, grounds the universe. Any of that's totally fine, but it's a personal being. And that's just the philosophical understanding of it, right? That's according to like Peter Van Inwagen, according to like William Lane Craig, according to Graham Oppie. All of these people are going to define God as something roughly like that, like a personal being that is responsible for sourcing the universe via like some sort of relationship.
No, God is not a being. God is the ground of being. Now you can say other people refer to God as a being. That's true. And to that extent, I would be an atheist if that's what it is. If God is a being, then I'm an atheist as much as you guys are. But if God is the ground of being, then you can't, like, you can say, I don't agree with that definition, or I don't think that's the Catholic definition, but you would have to say, okay, so then the question becomes,
but look, so
what is the nature of the ground of existence? Okay, but you would have to concede that, like, okay, so I do believe that. It's kind of a very simple syllogism, right? If God is the ground of existence, and I believe there must be a ground of existence, then I believe God as defined that way.
Look, but then that's just compatible with like naturalism, right?
No.
Why not?
Because you can try to make the claim that the ground of existence might be mechanical, but philosophically that's
Well,
impossible.
that's not to be clear. Naturalism doesn't imply like mechanical anything.
Well, it's only like physical objects.
That would be like physicalism, right?
I believe naturalism is the idea that there are only, like there are no.
It's just the belief that there's no
realities.
supernatural stuff.
Well, but even no, I think no spiritual, like no non-physical. I believe that's what it is.
Oh no. So it's compatible with like being a mathematical Platonist. You could be a naturalist who's also a Platonist. Specifically, what naturalism is the rejection of supernatural. So like spirits, like it would be a rejection of spirit. That's true.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can get into these definitions, but like, okay, so is thought a physical thing?
Sir,
It's not a question of whether it's physical, it's a question of whether it's natural.
Also, we need to establish the definition of God first, right? We need to establish like the common ground. We can't just like get in there and then we pivot back to like, well, you know, it's just the ground of existence, man. So do you think that the ground of existence has a mind?
Well, we could. Okay, so we can add like I can add like aspects of God, right? And so you do that. But like what I'm trying to say is what I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but I'm just saying if you accept that definition, that we would all have to agree that existence must have a grounding. And if I call that God, you can say, okay, well, but that's not
like,
compatible
look,
with.
If I call a water bottle God, that doesn't make me all of a theist all of a sudden because I believe my water bottle exists.
Well, if you say if I define God as a water bottle, and then
I agree that the water bottle exists.
Water bottle, then I can say like, okay, well then you would agree if you agree with me about the water bottle, then I could say like God is whatever 8 inches tall, right? I mean, what I'm saying is like,
right. My point is what you're doing. So look, look, you can define there are absolutely ways that you can just define God into existence, and roughly what you're doing is kind of doing that. Like, for example, I could define unicorns into existence by saying a unicorn is just this pen. And now if you agree that a unicorn is this pen, then you believe in unicorns. Like, it just doesn't do anything. Like, you have to have some sort of view that in some sense distinguishes itself from some sort of naturalistic view or some sort of atheistic worldview, whatever it is. Otherwise, the thing that you're defining just doesn't make sense to call it God, right? Well, if like an atheist can believe the thing that you exists is real, then it's just not a good definition of God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I'm saying is like, I understand you could say like, I don't accept your definition of God. I'm not defining God into existence. I'm just saying if one is to define God as the ground of being, then you can say what would be the nature of the ground of being. Maybe it could be just natural. Okay, so then I would, if you were to like say, okay, yes, I've proven that it's natural, or I'm convinced that it's natural, then I would have to then say, okay, then God is natural, and then like, of course, like, so all of Catholicism would fall apart, all of Christianity would fall apart based on that. But you would have to grant that, like,
but here's the issue.
Agree.
Here's the issue.
That is the definition. We would agree.
You said
that we all believe in
you
God.
said that the Orthodox worldview, the Orthodox kind of definition, is that God is the grounding of being. Fine. Suppose that that's true. How could it then be the case that if that grounding of being happened to be natural, that would destroy the Orthodox worldview? How could that be the case if the Orthodox worldview is merely that God is the grounding of being? Clearly, that's not the complete Orthodox worldview. The complete Orthodox worldview has a lot of extra baggage attached to the definition of God. It's not merely the grounding of being.
I don't mean Orthodox in the capital O sense, like I'm not Orthodox, I'm
like
Catholic, but it is
yeah.
very similar. But what I'm saying is Aristotle had a very similar view. Okay, right? So he's not Christian, but I do believe that Aristotle had a view that they're of the uncreated creator or things like this, based on philosophical speculations, based on not on revelation, no Bible, no nothing like that, right? And did come to the conclusion that there must be an uncreated creator based on like things like the contingency of the natural world, etc. and those hold up pretty well. So like the argument, what I'm saying is,
well, hold on. There's a
concede-
distinction that's being made. You said a creator, an uncreated creator. That is very distinct from the grounding of all being, right?
I'm just saying, I I'm not going to tell you that I'm like super well studied on Aristotle, but something like I'm not sure what his exact terminology was, but this is
the reason I say that is
prior to
because
many Christians.
grounding and creation are not the same kind of causal relations, right? One is in some sense a temporal thing, and one is in some sense like an ontological sense. These are just different senses of causation or different senses of bringing about. So we just need to be really clear about what it is you actually believe, because surely you don't believe that there is a grounding simpliciter. You believe that there is a grounding and that grounding has certain qualities. So what are the qualities?
Well, I do actually believe there's a doctrine of what's called divine simplicity, that it is that God is ultimately very simple. But I understand, but what I'm saying is like Aristotle's, whatever you want to call it, proofs or speculations, as far as I can follow them, is that based on the experience of the natural world, there must be a grounding to explain being. And I
suppose that's true. Okay,
we would all agree.
We agree. Suppose that's true. Okay, make the case for the God that you believe in.
So if God is defined as that grounding, and we all
We don't
recognize
grant
that's
that.
grounding,
but
we don't grant that.
That's not the God you believe in, and we don't grant that either. So why bring
But
it up?
if I put the label God on it, you would say like, okay, maybe that's the wrong label if it means like a whole bunch of other things. But you would agree that there must be a grounding of existence.
Look,
if I called Jeffrey Epstein God, would that make God a child rapist?
I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
It's a yes or no question. What would it?
Let's say I define God as math.
Can I just get the yes or the no? If I define God as Jeffrey Epstein, okay, sure. And that's fine, or like maybe we should just use the definitions that the terms are attempting to pick out.
X, Y, and Z, and that's an easy argument to make. But it's tougher when I define God as the ground of existence. I think you'd have to say like, okay, well, is that
okay? But
I think you would have to concede.
You
we
don't
all agree
that's not the God that you believe in. That's not the God that we care about discussing. So why don't we talk about what you actually believe in?
I also think that this runs into
not
reflexivity.
True. That is absolutely what I believe.
I feel like you could also just derive like a problem for this. Does God exist?
I'm not sure. Are you asking me a question?
Yeah. Does God exist?
No, God. No. So right.
God doesn't
Wrong
exist.
question. God is the ground of existence.
So God doesn't exist.
God,
does God
like
exist?
A question that can't be answered yes or no in terms of
either
God.
He exists or He doesn't.
No.
God doesn't
God
exist.
God is the ground of existence. You
so you're an atheist. God doesn't exist.
According to you, yes. If you say, is God a being who exists? But don't you understand? Like you.
On your own definition, God doesn't exist.
No. You don't understand the categories, but like that's okay. I think both atheists and probably all of you have a view of, let's say, a Protestant Calvinist view of what Christianity is.
Did you blunder? Do you need to take it back? You just said it. Everyone heard it. You just said God doesn't exist under your definition.
Right, because if you could just unpack what that question means.
So you're an atheist.
Saying, is God a member of the group of things which exist? The answer is no. God is existence. So the question is absurd.
So God doesn't exist.
Does God have the property of
God is existence? So you see what I'm saying?
So if you're going to talk about something logically, it has to you need to describe it in terms of a universe of discourse. Now, if you're using like propositional logic or something, then maybe you just have objects and then you can attach predicates to those objects. If you're using first order logic, then you can have objects and predicates in your universe of discourse, and you can attach like higher order predicates to your predicates and so on. So if you're going to talk about this thing, then God is either an object or a predicate. Which one is it?
God is either an object. I'm not sure if you're saying like linguistically speaking.
Like logically speaking, because if you're going to talk about this thing in any sort of formal, like logical way, you need to have a universe of discourse in order to do so. Is God an object in the universe of discourse that predicates apply to, or is it a predicate in the universe of discourse that higher order predicates apply to?
I actually don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Okay, so like objects are things that can have attributes. Predicates are attributes.
If you were to say, like, I think you guys would be super comfortable if I said to you, God is a being, and I think God exists. Okay.
Then that would be an object with a
give me
predicate.
proofs, blah,
Sure.
blah, 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 blah. We could talk about that, right? Okay, but the problem is that is not like.
So is there any way to talk about this in a logical way? Is there any way to talk about this in a logical way? Like, is there any way to?
It's perfectly logical to say that God is the ground of existence, but then the question of
So
does
hold on.
God
You just did
exist
it.
becomes
You just did it. Is the ground, so the ground of logical existence, what you're doing is you're making an identifier. So there is some object in the universe of discourse that you're calling the ground of existence, and you're identifying that object as God. That's what the sentence means.
Not an object, but like a word which refers to something that is not an object.
An object is just an element of the universe of discourse.
God's not an element.
Okay, then the sentence itself doesn't make sense.
Okay, well, what if I was to say, okay, another way of saying is God, we know in the scriptures it says God is love. Okay, so do you believe love exists?
Sure.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Okay, so if you
Sure.
say, yes, I believe love exists, then by that definition, you would believe in God. And I understand you might
Only if
say,
we accept the
well, that's
scriptures.
not the God of the New Testament because he's a flying spaghetti monster who kills Amalekites. Okay, that's fine. But but don't you understand that, like, you're only debating other atheists because you're saying, like, God is a being among other beings. Those are, I mean, I don't think that that's a defensible position, but you're only debating people who don't.
So in your view, God does not have a mind.
God is mind, capital M mind, right? Like,
I don't know what distinction you're making between capital M mind and a mind.
A mind among other minds. No.
Yeah.
but
So
is God
you don't think
rational?
don't think God has a mind.
I mean, it depends what you mean.
I mean, we can think. So a mind is typically defined as that thing which has mental states, which is composed of mental states, perhaps. If God doesn't have that, then like your view seems like it's compatible with atheism.
Yeah, in terms of what you think theism is, I'm an atheist. But that's
in terms of what like classical theologians think theism is, in terms of what modern philosophers of religion think theism is,
Incorrect.
That's just what the word means.
That's incorrect. But I mean, so you don't think that, like, Thomas Aquinas, following Aristotle, defined God as the ground of being, drawing on the Tetragrammaton, which means
I'm sure he did, and there was other stuff too. Because if you ask Thomas Aquinas if God has a will, I'm sure he would have said yes.
Yes.
Okay, so God has a will.
I agree.
Well,
God
wills
has a will.
a will is a type of mental state, so that means that God has a mind.
No, a will is not a type of mental state. It is a faculty.
Sure it is.
No, it is
a faculty is a kind of mental state. That's
it's not. I mean, the ability to do math is a faculty. Animals can't do math. We can do math.
Perhaps that's correct. Perhaps I was losing my language. The point is wills. One of the the ability to do math isn't a mental state, but doing math is. Right. Multiplying 3 by 5 is like that in your head. That's a mental state. So having wills, having a will.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. It would be a series of mental states. So having any sort of will, not like will simpliciter, but just having like a desire or a push to do something or a drive to do something, that would be a mental state, which means God would have a mind.
God has every faculty we have, and many more than we have, right?
So God has a mind,
right? Well, so God has what a mind has, but without the being like our limitations, right? So
okay,
that's mind
irrelevant for whether it has a mind.
Well, I mean, when you say let's say you could say, is God a person? And then you could say, well, does he have hands and feet? Okay, but like you would, I believe, understand that almost no Christians
we don't think
that
it
is a trinity
yeah,
of
we know.
persons would say that he has hands and feet
we
and
know.
eyes, right?
We know. We're not assuming that because something has a mind, it therefore must have a brain. That's not the assumption that's being made.
Yeah.
So when we speak of God, we speak analogically. You understand what I mean by that, right? So
Yes, I
if you say
understand what you
God
mean. It's
is
usually nonsensical,
jealous,
but I
we
do
don't
understand what you
really
mean.
like his, he has those sort of experiences that a jealous husband would have or something, right? It's that his heart rate doesn't go up and things like that. It's an analogy.
Yes, this is all understood. It just seems like that's not the God you're talking about. You're talking about the ground of all being. You're not talking about all of that extra stuff.
Hey,
I'm
Ben,
just saying.
I hate to cut this conversation short, but our cutoff is 3 o'clock. We all have
Which is now.
schedules today that we have to get to, but